stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good very early morning to Connie. 4 a.m. Dang, woman. I would be cozy in my bed. I want to be cozy in my bed right now, and I'm not. Hi, everyone. So as we talked about yesterday, we are going to spend a couple hours this morning or your afternoon going through and discussing when Chris Todd received the crime scene photos and which crime scene photos they were and in what order they were received based upon his interviews. I have sent an email to Chris. I haven't checked email to see if I heard back yet or not, but last I did check, I had not yet. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, tornado artists. Connie, I know you're watching. It's crazy. It's 4 a.m. Go back to bed. Hey, Journey takes a trip. Hey, Sleuthy. I was taking kids to school, and she's like, hello, are you going live? I'm like, it's 7:30. No, I'm not going live yet, you crazy woman. Hi, Peppermint Tea. It's 6 p.m. there. See, it's perfect time for you. Kit Kat. Hey, Jen. Hi, Wildlight Arts. I'm cozy undercover eating some chicken soup. Hi, Missing Unsolved Crime. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Lilith. Hi, Danielle. Maria. Well, in fairness, I didn't make that intro. A friend of mine named Christine made that intro, and she's a badass graphic designer. So if you guys ever need anything done with graphic design, she's the one that I would refer you to. Hey, Terry, Mommy Wolverine, Python Chicky Shaz, BG. Hey, sweet dude. Artemis Prime. What's up, Nancy? Hi, Rexy. Hi, Grace. Just Deb. My Sharky Soul Sister is here. But listening while you pack. You going on vacay? Hey, Braze. Marshall's at a doctor's appointment. Okay, Marshall, I'll say hi to you when you get back. We're not all on the same time zone there. I'm like, yeah, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready. Hey, Miranda. Hi, Dom. Hope you're doing okay. 2 p.m., Danielle. Yeah, that's good. That's a good time. Right? All eyes on Delphi? It's crazy. Because every time I'm like, okay, I think I've got this part figured out. I'm like, no, I don't have shit figured out. I just don't have shit figured out. Chasing your tiny human. Oh, mine's at school. Thank gosh. So exhaustively. I'm trying. Every time that's why I said every time I think I'm done with something, I'm like, oh wait, nope, there's more. Hi, C-Dub. I love it. Okay, so the song is, oh gosh, I literally have to, I should write this down. Do you know the show, what is it, La Brea? It was their, what do you call it? The trailer. It was the music in their trailer. But I think Christine got it off of just it's like a music site that like YouTubers and people used that's got like free music. You pay for the site and then you get the music. So it doesn't have a name on there, but I know it has a name from the La Brea trailer. Cray. What's up, Judy? I hope the doctor's appointment goes well. I know. They're like, no, I'm watching YouTube right now. You cannot be doing all that stuff. Hi, Salty. Google the lyrics. I know. Well, there's a couple different ones that have down there, but this is like it's a girl. It's a female. I can tell you that. Shit, I don't remember. Getting surgery on your knee, or you're getting around on your knee that you already had surgery on. Hey, Sharon. Yeah, me too. So you're morning time with me. Oh, you're at the hospital too. We could figure this out. That's what I keep telling myself, and hence why I'm still doing this. And then I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? I should have never gone down this. You guys go back to when I got back into Delphi this round. I swear it's like the first one or two videos I did, and I'm like, we're not going to spend too much time here because there's literally, you could go down 50,000 rabbit holes and never come out. And so I just want to cover the memorandum, and then we're going to go back and we're going to cover all the other cases. What a stupid thing to think. What was so stupid to say? It was just such a bad, it's bad. I can't leave. I'm stuck. And now I'm like, I have to finish this that I'm making because I need to have the organization. Miss being a West Coaster. Hey, Jeff. Yes. Yes, I'd have to just ask Christine. Ooh, with some like oyster crackers in it. Yes, no, that sounds yummy. Hey, it's a crime and shame. Okay, so speaking of stuff from yesterday, I did come across some news. They're not new. New for this. They're old screenshots, but they're pertinent to the conversation we were having yesterday about the search party and who was where and whatnot. Now, I know that we're all cynics, I think, to some point, and then we're all cynics of different people. So you can take this as, with salt or take it however you want to. There you go. Thank you, Jeff. We're going down. We're going down by Heather Evans. You're trying to stay incognito. No, can't. You got to come out. I don't think she does sleep, Miranda. Okay, so this is a private conversation somebody was having with Becky Patty, and now, of course, I just lost it. Let's go back in. So the person says, hey, it's me popping in for another question. David Erskine, was he searching on the side of the creek the girls were found, or did he cross over to them after they were found? Becky says, he was on the opposite side of the creek. He originally was in the group with Kelsey. Somehow they split up. When the searchers that found the girls went searching for someone with a radio, they found Erskine up by the bridge. So the person says, so did he cross over to the girls? She says, I think he did wade over, but never went up to them. Don't quote me on that. It has been a bit since we talked about it. The deer thing, yes, it was Jake Johns. He was across the creek. He saw something on a log, but couldn't make it out. So he zoomed in, and it was Libby's shirt. He saw movement out of the corner of his eye. As he looked up, it was deer. That was when he saw the girls. Person says, I've always had a hard time believing that he could see via cell phone. I actually went outside and tried in our woods. Oh, I don't know if I read this. She said, I saw the picture he took. I don't know if I read that part. I'm still sleepy. She says, the person who's typing to her says, do you know who was on the team that was on the side the girls were found? She says, one was Pat Brown and another was my sister. IATS. There you go. what gets me is they called off the search. Then in the next breath, dozens of us and the fire department were out there searching all night. Okay, so the search did happen then. Yeah, with just certain people. They stopped letting everybody search for whatever reason, just some. She says she thinks he did cross over, but not to quote her on that, because it's been a bit since they've talked about it. So then this makes me wonder who actually took the photos in the creek. And I know that we're being told it was LO, but there's no proof that it was LO, so I'm just wondering. And he was in a boat. Yep, he was in a boat, yet he did not see the clothes in the creek. Where was he at in the boat? I don't know. Is that another... I don't know. Hey, Jeannie Lane. Hey, Alligator. So I got these, so I wanted to talk to you guys about them because I was like, okay, this goes with what we were talking about yesterday. And who was where. So according to Becky, David Early crossed over possibly at some point. And that he wasn't the first one, but he was the first one there with a radio. It is, yeah. Let me grab the link so I can make sure I have it for you guys. And I'll go with my disclaimer that I give you guys all the time. It's not done, though. Make sure you guys know it's not done. So there are things in there that are just completely empty, and I just keep trying to add to it all the time. Apparently, he went up the other side of the bridge, not the Ron Logan side. That's what I remember being said. He went up the other side of the bridge. Like down the other trail and around? And like, trying to picture what you mean. Seems the part that the girls were at was ignored. Everyone mainly searched on the side of the bridge going towards town. I think there was a lot of searching going on, like over towards Freedom Bridge, you mean? And I do think there was a lot of people that seemed to be looking on the Weber side, which is, the south side where the bridge ends. I think there was a lot of people searching there the morning of the 14th. Yeah, I know that Mike Patty said that he took Becky home or he had Becky go home. I don't want to quote that. Or spend one of the times going through and just trying to go through their interviews. Over 100 people searching. Today, only family and friends, up to 37. Well, there was supposedly a ton that came out on the 13th, and it was completely unorganized and just a disaster, and everybody was searching everywhere. There was no coordination to it, and that's why nobody knows exactly where everybody was searching. Plus, it got really late, and according to like Eric Williams, who was out there searching, he says that somebody told him that they were calling the search off between like 11 and 12, and so he ended up leaving. Mike Patty says that he went back and continued to search throughout the night. And then you have Lesenby, who calls the fire guy, and I don't know why I can't ever remember that guy's name, calls the fire guy at 2:30 saying, hey, we finally got the last ping from the bridge. It was at 5:30 in the same area that they went missing, so we're going to go back out there and search. So we know they went out there and started searching again. So we know there was people out there searching, but the quantities, I think, changed quite a bit. And then the next day on the 14th, it was supposed to be more organized, and that's where you get the list. And we have like a list of all the people who were out there searching, plus more, because another screenshot that according to Becky said that Pat Brown, she doesn't think Pat Brown was part of a like an actual search party. And I don't know, I should probably sit down and look at the names on there and see if he's on there. It was dark and there was a hill, sweet dude. Yeah, it was dark and there was a hill. Yeah, and then he went back like really early, or yeah. Okay, Dom, take care of you. So step closer to trying to figure out all the pieces and putting it all together. That's kind of where I feel like we're at. I wonder how he was able to go home and go to sleep, though. I honestly think, Kay, and this is just my opinion, and I know that people will disagree with me, but I think they really just thought the girls were out doing, like, being teenagers. That maybe it was like the first time they'd ever done it, but I feel like the concern level wasn't super high until it got dark, like 9-10 o'clock ish. That's where I'm kind of at with it. I feel like they just weren't. They either thought like somebody got hurt, the cell phone died, or they were out being just rambunctious and they were gonna, like Anna said in one of her interviews, she just said like when she comes back, when they come home, she's just gonna be in trouble. Like that, I think that was where they were at. And I think it just led to a disaster because it was so unorganized. And then you'd have this major crime scene that nobody knows is there. Well, I should say nobody. That the majority of the searchers don't know is there, and everything's just getting destroyed. That's possible too. I was thinking because of what David had said about calling in with his coordinates. I was like, I wonder if that's where he was. Right, but they say it started going to voicemail, like the phone had been turned off or died at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So the last ping was at 5:30. What was that from? Hi, Jeanette. Yeah, and I think that was a big mistake. Hey, Ben. He could sleep well knowing the first part of the red herring went off without a hitch. Everybody bought the High Bridge Trail story. Now just a few hours sleep, then back out to dump the bodies. I don't know about that. I don't think that Mike Patty's involved in it. I just don't. It's weird to me when people are so gung-ho about trying to get justice when there is no justice happening, if they're the ones that are responsible for it. Because most of the time you think they'd kind of be okay just letting it die away. Not out there talking about it all the time. So if the phone pings the last time that the phone was when the phone was turned off, then how does the phone keep going to voicemail when Becky's calling it at about 4 o'clock? Hi, Jax. Flannel Shirt Guy had a walkie. Zav Girl did Down the Hill Audio, had walkie sound. Oh, we're going to go into the McCains. Yeah, they were supposedly out there a lot. Hi, Hybrid Pisces. What's up, J.O.? Hi, Crime Curious. Well, the last ping at 5:30 should have been under Abby's body if they died at 3:30 and were left where they were killed. True, but I don't know how exact whatever system they were using to ping. I don't know how precise it would have been. I remember Mike Patty said that the phone was pinging all over town, but I don't know if he. All right, well, I'm gonna go because I know we're gonna do a whole thing on what the family said. I've been putting all their interviews together, so it's tough because I don't want to go. If I start going down that road right now, you guys know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna stay over there, and then we're never gonna get done what we actually came here to do today. He devoted to Mariah. It's kind of funny that we all have our own lingo in this case: flannel shirt guy, bridge guy, older sketch, younger sketch, etc. Yeah, people outside of Delphi, the Delphi case, they're like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Okay, let me see. So this interview is done with a couple of police officers that run a channel called Failure to Stop. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but this is the one we're gonna talk about first. Yeah, because I'm like, if you guys get me going on like the family stuff, I'm gonna end up pulling up all kinds of interviews there, and then we're gonna end up in a place that we didn't want to go to, and then we're gonna run out of time because I have to go pick up kids from school. So this is a channel called Failure to Stop. I was not overly familiar with them, but this was one of the oldest ones I could find that had Chris Todd coming on and talking about Delphi. This one is from November 1st of 2022. I did get a couple timestamps on here that I wanted to talk about. Some of the ones that are going to be later, I have not gotten all the timestamps for, so you guys are going to have to bear with me as we go through those together. I know it sucks, but all right, we'll start right about here. Tell me if you guys can hear it. Does anybody hear that? No, you guys can't hear it. Okay. Hi, cough, it never sucks. Yeah, I think that a lot of the audiences do, and I get it. I really do, because I'm telling you, it was like watching before. All right, hold on. When he was like the very first couple of clips, like I watched on Court TV, and then I watched the first video that when he was on with Rick Snay on Delphi After Dark. He rubbed me wrong. I was like, what is going on with this guy? And it's ironic because a lot of people were like, I'm not going to buy his book because he comes off and rubs people really bad. The book helped me to actually like him better. I felt like it was because it wasn't like I've told you guys this before reading the book. It's not a novel. It doesn't have like the whole, everything that a story has to have. It's his story, just written out like he just sat down and wrote it, like just said, here you go, here's what I know, here's my information, take it for what you want. And it did give some history about him, that I was like, I kind of see why he's so much more just cut and dry. Just like, I think that he's kind of, the life that he's lived, he's kind of dealt with a lot of shit, and he's just like, fuck everybody. And sorry about the profanity, but that's how I feel like he's at. He's just like, you know what, I'm just going to put whatever I want out there, and people can either deal with it or not. I think I understood him more. Not necessarily am I like, oh my gosh, he's like the greatest person of all time, but I think I just understood his personality more. So now listening to these now, I'm like, yeah, all right. He has no filter. He just has no care. He's just like, you guys either want to hear what's happening or you don't. Now, if you want to believe him, that's completely up to you. Like I tell you about everybody involved in the case, it's really up to you what you believe, what you don't believe, how you believe it ties together with certain things.
Usually find yourself in more trouble working with them.
More than once. You've been sued more than once.
Just let me know you can hear it, and then I'll play it. Yes, and but it comes across very it comes across skeezy sometimes. I can see that. Okay, you guys can't hear it. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself so there's no echo. Yeah, he revealed his strategy: talk smack, get sued, learn dirt and discovery. Yes. That I think that's what that's why I said I think it makes more sense now knowing that about him, which I didn't know when I first watched some of the clips. But it makes it more understandable.
Once, and we're giving you the platform to say whatever you want, and we're going to challenge you with a few questions. You're dealing with two ex-cops, and above all three of us are parents. So, obviously Abby and Libby are at the forefront of our minds, and we don't want to jeopardize anything in the case. So we just want to make sure that, we're doing everything in good faith when we talk to you. So please don't take anything personal if we're trying to poke holes.
Well, and also, you ask me, I want you to challenge me. I want you to say it's bull crap. Because then
what would make the LEOs choose you to be the whistleblower? How did they come up with your name? How did they find you? And why? What was their motive to whistleblow? Because I know as a law enforcement officer, I generally veered away from PIs because you could usually find yourself in more trouble working with them than anything else. There were caveats to that, but you were very careful about it. And of course I'm from a bigger agency, so we really didn't need to get involved. And I know it's different for smaller agencies like Delphi, but what would be the police motive here to want to go work with a PI and risk getting fired or whatever it is to whistleblow you? What was their motive?
So I'll touch on this, and he's going to answer it anyway, but I just, once again, for fair use and everything, I want to stop and comment. So sometimes it might be a little repetitive, but in reading the book, he does talk about, and when I did the review, we went through and listened to the Jason Jensen interviews that he talks about, that he started contacting different news companies and news organizations, and everybody basically was shutting him out and just saying like, no, go away. We're not going to do that because we don't want to be sued and blah, blah, blah. So he started reaching out to all these different PIs, and he ended up getting in contact with Jason Jensen. And in that contact with Jason Jensen, he put Jason in contact with Vinnie Politan from Court TV. And Jason went on there and ends up talking about Ron Logan. And so when he talks about Ron Logan, there was some law enforcement officers who watched the program and reached out to Jason Jensen. So he's going to kind of describe it in a little bit more detail, but that's really the gist of it. So the law enforcement agents that decided to be whistleblowers reached out to Jason Jensen, and then they were talking with Jason and Chris Todd. So they became kind of like a unit.
Right. So I am partnered with I'm not a private investigator. I'm an investigative producer. I'm not a licensed PI, just so I say that. I am partnered with a private investigator who these Leos reached out to. They didn't know he knew me. Okay. They didn't know Chris Todd was with him. So initially the PI, which I helped get on Court TV, I leaked a bunch of stuff to Court TV, and they brought on this private investigator instead of me. This goes back to they won't let me talk. Okay. So I let him go on. He went on the show with Vinnie Politan. This was about 2 months ago. And these Leos saw him say Ron Logan's name. So they emailed him and they started to squeal in writing. Now, when
I can't really change, it's his volume on the show. Their volume is good. So I can't really up his volume. I'll put the closed captioning on.
The PI, when Jason came to me and said, you need to see this. And I was like, okay, what is it? He started to email me the stuff. And then I was able to meet the Leos, and we talked on the phone for 3 hours. Okay. I was brought in because I'm a whistleblower myself. I am a police informant in LA. So I've done very dangerous criminal, like organized crime cases. And I was a whistleblower myself. So I could relate to them. And I told the PI right in the beginning, if these policemen are putting something in writing, that means they want to talk. That means they're leaking you stuff. And he's like, holy cow, I can't believe it. So I said, get me on the phone with them. We established a relationship. I just talked to them today. Just a lot of stuff going on. Their phones are blowing up, like with the Richard Allen. And they say in writing, it's Ron Logan.
So remember, this is November 1st of 2022. Richard Allen has just been arrested, and the press conference has just happened on the 31st. So it's all very, very new at that time.
That's
Well,
what they
you
say
know,
to Jason.
in your experience as an informant, you understand that the only you're only as good as the information. Your information is only as good as the officer's verification efforts once you give them information. So, what are your verification efforts that your PI is giving you truthful information?
Well, I know the Leos now. I personally know them.
So you're working
I
directly
didn't.
with, or
I'm
you-
directly with them.
Okay.
I'm the only one who has the statements, and I'm the only one who's been given the green light to go to the media. No one else. Now,
okay.
yeah.
In what sense are you given the green light, and who gave you the green? You know, like you don't have to give a name,
The
but who is giving you? What's
no.
that?
The Leos
Who
gave
the
me
green
the
light?
green light. Yeah.
Okay.
They're in my book. So
Okay.
when you turn to the chapter Leo Whistleblowers,
Okay.
chapter 4.
Got it.
So their statements, they're redacted because I won't reveal who they are. So their statements are right here.
Okay.
That's very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and put the whistleblowers statement up there.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the next part because we read through these statements on the live where we talk about the book Forest for the Trees by Chris Todd. So let me go to the next timestamp that just kind of giving you guys some history as we start going through here too. So they start reading through they start reading through all those statements that are in the book.
In the blank for the most convictions based on blank work. When I presented these to blank, no one took it seriously. Anyways, I won't keep bothering you. Take care.
So I'll reveal right now, just to give a little tease, what he's saying right there. I was commissioned by Robert Ives, the lead prosecuting attorney on the case. That's what I redacted. That's Robert Ives. He's not there anymore. He retired. It's now Nick McClelland. So
is that some type of was that some type of forensic investigator that was giving you that information?
He commissioned the prosecutor, Robert Ives, commissioned the Leos to go have someone do this comparison, and they went out and they found this person who's a top expert in the field.
Okay, so he's talking about and this image has been floating around since his book came out. But let me just show you guys real quick just so that you guys can see it. The images that are in the book, these. So he's saying that these were actually sent to him from the law enforcement whistleblowers, and that they actually are from part of the investigation into Ron Logan. So the cops are essentially questioning, like, you know, where's the validity behind who did this, how it was done? We can't say for certain. And he's just telling them, like, no, these were sent as part of the whistleblower information. Okay, I'm gonna put this back up.
And then like then they're saying nobody believed us anyway. So
what would be the cover up? What would be the cover up? I'm sorry, Drew.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. I just had a question about, it seemed like all the emails were they all printed on September 11th, or were they authored on September 11th? It looks like
that was my question as well.
They're all transcribed. Those are not the original. I'm not going to show the original emails.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the next one, let me go. See if it's this one.
Eric, I'm sorry.
What is your theory of the cover up? If there's,
But prior to that, they wanted to make very certain to say in no uncertain terms that this investigation is absolutely still.
bridge guy, from all the evidence that you have seen, is Ron Logan. And I think that's just important to let the people in the chats know that you're not saying that Richard Allen is innocent of anything. What you're saying is that you believe
Correct.
Bridge Guy is definitely Ron Logan, and you kind of depict that more in your book. And I, for one, am going to buy your book because I think it's very well played how you have kind of brought your book into this. I don't feel like I'm being oversold to or anything like that. And I do feel like you've been pretty respectful, and I appreciate that. Let me ask you this. Do you, or have you heard from these whistleblowers or through these chats with the PI, do you yourself have a motive? Was this a sexual case? Was this these kids walked into a crime scene of something else? Like maybe they saw these two guys, paying off a mob or something crazy. I don't know. Was this where they caught butt fucking on the bridge and they had to kill these girls so they don't, who knows,
Yeah. And I want to make just a quick comment too. Basically, there is evidence against Richard Allen that's coming out right now. And I do believe I know how they were tipped off to Richard Allen. The big question is, that's the big question right now. How did they come to Richard Allen? Okay. I can kind of tell you softly if you want to have the exclusive. I've not told anybody. Nobody.
So this is when he starts kind of going into what information he's been given. So remember, this is November 1st of 2022. So
he knows. There's a lot of reporters I'm texting right now. They're telling me different things. There is no DNA at the crime scene per the Leos. I'm not saying there isn't, and maybe he didn't see. The Leos say there's no DNA. They say that there's a DNA hit. It's from a lab technician, someone that worked on the bodies. That's it. We thought Richard Allen was arrested. He has no record. There's no criminal record of him. So his DNA might not be in the system. They had a new law put in that if you got arrested, you had to give your DNA. I think it was from Abby and Libby's murder. We can't find him being arrested. We don't know if his DNA is in the system. Okay. I'm not saying there's not DNA there. Maybe the Leos didn't know.
I think you guys see, this is what happens when I hang out with you guys. I think everybody got distracted and started listening to what the cop said. Got to pay attention to what Todd says. You guys are cracking me up in chat, though. Yes, that is what he said.
They were very close to the case. Let me tell you something straight up. They were inside. They're there at his house, Logan, at the crime scene. These are not like cops 50 miles away. This is them. Okay. To go to the motive. Okay. I've worked a lot of crazy cases, and this is a sad story. If you don't want me to say how they were murdered or if they were nude, you say it right now. What do you want me to? Do you want me to reveal to you that what the public does not know? Yes or no?
That's up to
I don't
them.
think so.
I personally would rather you didn't, but
Okay.
that.
He desperately tries to get in wherever he goes. He's just like, I have this info. Do you guys want it? Do you not want it? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I have it. I'm trying to give it to somebody. And this is just like I said, before we started watching this about him and what I see is his personality. He's gathering this information. He wants to tell people about it. I don't know if he has a channel himself. Does he have a channel? Does anybody know that? Because he everywhere he goes, he's like, I have it. Do you want it? And they're like, mostly everybody's just like, no, we don't want your information. Everybody tells him no. That's what I'm wondering. That's what I was thinking. I'm wondering if he has a channel. Hi, poor pitbulls. But like trying to ambush people with leaks on live streams is wild. I think that's what I don't know how much conversation happens before. I mean, I've done a lot of interviews on this channel and the channel I was with before, and some of those interviews were set up for me, and I never spoke to the person before they came on. I never had any conversations with them. So like what you saw was what you got. Like that was our interaction. So it's tough to tell if these guys talked about any of this. It's called Chris Todd Investigates. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. He does have a channel. Not sure why he doesn't go on it more. Yeah, that's actually an interesting question. Just create one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
one
need
of
to know.
three
I mean,
options,
I'll
so-
ask
So, but they're all telling him like, no, we don't want to know. But just wait.
you this. I would say, do you think? I'll say this. Do you think this was a sexual crime? What
The
do you
Leos?
think? I'm not asking for evidence. I'm not asking you for what you
Well,
know.
I-
I'm just
I
asking
need-
what your
I
opinion.
need
Do
to
you
use
think
what
it
the-
was?
I need to use the Leos first, right? Because they're there. They saw the
Okay.
bodies, how they're propped up, they're staged. Okay. One's leaning
Dude.
up against the tree with a hoodie on. Guess what? It's not her hoodie, it's the other girl's. They're both nude. So, yes, it's sexual.
Just said
in
it. I
nature.
just
They're
asked you
both
not to
made
say that.
strip.
Literally just.
Yeah, I think we have to stop and talk about this for a second. So he says one's leaning up against a tree, wearing a hoodie that's not her hoodie. And they were nude. This is what he's being told from law enforcement. And that's why he's like, I need to say what they said first, because that's kind of what leads him to think what he thinks at that time, November 1st of 2022.
Okay. So,
That's all right. Well, I mean, we just
Well,
like
guess-
we want to respect the family, and we also want to respect, it's one thing that
I'm trying to reply.
it's
You
one thing to
asked me-
do stories
you
on this
asked me
because
if
we
it
know
was
it gets its clicks and we know
sexual.
it gets its pay, but at the same time, we have to walk this fine line of we're still law enforcement officers and we're still pro the trusting the system. And I know a lot of people don't want to trust the system, but we're pro LEO, we're pro law enforcement, we love cops.
I am.
So we want to trust the system.
No,
We
no.
want to trust what the detectives do. All I'm asking is if you think. I'm not asking for any evidence. I'm just asking your
I
opinion
got you. Okay. Yes,
from what
yes, it's
from what
sexual.
you may or may
Yeah.
not have heard. Do you think it was
Yes.
a sexual crime, or do you think it was a hate crime, or do you think it was a like I said, a walking in on a crime? What do you think it
Sexual.
was? You think it was a sexual crime in
Sexual.
nature?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that would be
Was there-
surprising. And we do know that the bodies were staged, right? They came out, and we have learned that when they came out about 2 years, I think, after it happened, they came out with a little bit more information, not a ton, and did reveal the fact that we know that the bodies had been manipulated, and they did leave, they let the public know that at the time.
That was relatively recent. That's when the search warrant came out. They said they looked to be staged or posed.
Well,
Okay.
and they actually alluded to the fact that they feel like they were moved or messed with multiple times before being found.
Sure. Yeah.
Chris,
And
what
re-
So I just want to, just to make sure that we're on the same page. I know that the photos that came out in October, that nobody's like propped up against a tree. The information he's saying here, though, if we go back to what we said yesterday, where David Erskine says when he saw them, that Abby was wearing what she was wearing on the bridge. There seems to be this multiple amount of people who've come onto the scene, and she's kind of talking about it now, like how many times have they been moved? And I think she means by the perpetrator. My question right now, and this is a question, so take it for this is nothing factual. Did anybody there move the girls? If you guys, I remember there was the rumor that somebody, I believe the rumor was that it was David Erskine up until his last phone call. Somebody tried to see if Abby had a pulse. Now, am I saying that they sat there and they sat there and redressed Abby, as a searcher? No, that's not what I'm saying. There's something going on with the commentary about the searchers and the fact that nobody wants to tell the world who the searchers were. And I've asked this since the beginning. Why doesn't anybody want the world to know who found the girls? Out of everything, why would that be an issue? Like, that should be a very simple answer, yet it's convoluted. Everybody has a different story, and nobody wants to say they were the one that was there and found them. and or everybody wants to say it. You can take it either way, because it's like there's so much. The rumor was Pat Brown touched the girls. I've heard this. Lindsay says, I've heard that Ivan Brumbaugh touched the girls. I've heard that Ivan Brumbaugh was on the other side of the creek with Jake Johns. So this should be something in a case like this. It should just be like, we all know exactly what happened. We all know who went in and found the girls, or who went there and found the girls. Like, it should just be very, very easy. That it should be not a question. This should not be hard. Of all the things, this should not be hard, because they contaminated a crime scene probably. And that's why I think that they don't want people to know, because if they this is my speculation. This is not factual information. This is where I'm getting to with everything that I keep looking at. So you guys take it, leave it, do whatever you want with it. I'm just starting to really think that the people who found the girls either tried to save one, tried to cover one up, didn't want somebody seeing them the way they were found. I don't know. But something is off. The details from jump are all jumbled up, and that's what makes the whole case. It's just frustrating. It is. It's very frustrating. In sympathy and wanting to keep victims' dignity, it's not at all unusual for someone to be overcome with emotion and do stuff like dress the naked, reposition if there's suggestive positions, etc. You know, I think, and also this whole narrative that keeps coming out with, there's no proof behind it yet, that the searchers who found the girls took pictures of the girls to show they didn't move them. I'm wondering, did the searchers who found the girls take pictures so that they could move them? So like, here's the pictures of actually how they were found, and then here's you guys, then law enforcement's called in and they're dressed, or they're covered, or they're whatever. Does that make sense? Once again, everything I just said is 100% speculation on my part. I'm just trying to figure it out. I have nothing that I have proof of that possibility. Oh yeah, send it. No, Lynn, you don't think so? Okay. Okay, so here's the other part about the things happening quickly. If you remember, there's the whole thing about the clothes. The photos in the creek were found at 11:13 is when those photographs have metadata for. 11:13. They keep telling us, the world, that the girls were found at approximately 2:15 or 12:15, not 2. Sorry, 12:15. So I don't know. No one is going. I don't know if I agree with that, because human nature, like, just to want to go and hold them to. I have so many stories of I won't tell them, because they're really, some of them are kind of grotesque, of parents who find their loved ones, family members who find their loved ones, and the things that they have done to try to hold them and not let them go. I don't want to go into it, because like I said, some of them are kind of, but people do touch them because there's shock, there's trauma, there's all kinds of stuff. Now, is that everybody? No. Is it possible? Yes. Because I know it's happened. Yeah, all these people coming across them at once. The only thing I can say about the moving them is, if the initial scene is true, where one of them is propped up against a tree and is only wearing a sweatshirt, or only has the top on, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Do they want to put that they don't want anybody to be seen like that, so they start to cover them up? Well, and what about like David Erskine? He's saying like he was brought in for lie detectors and questioning and, you know, his DNA. He was there. I mean, he was part of the volunteer fire department, and he said like his whole team were they trying to figure out like who the heck moved them, who touched them? Yeah, John Benny's dad. That's a great example, Thierry. Thank you. Yeah, just goes ahead and grabs her and brings her upstairs. Keep the searchers needed to use association to determine if the tips came from direct associations with searchers versus perpetrators. Maybe. That's a possibility. You know, and then we have this whole that, you know, one of the girls was covered with leaves, and then supposedly in this pictures, there is no leaves. I don't know. Right, so maybe the group with Elvis are the ones that moved them, and that's why he was so worried about his DNA being on them. I don't know. I just don't know. All accounts say Libby was nude. Yes. Yep. That's it. See, that's another part. So where did the sticks come from then? If somebody was redressed and both girls have sticks on them, so then that kind of goes, okay, that's probably how they were found, right? And not somebody putting the sticks on them. I don't, yeah, because that wouldn't make any sense. The dressing might make sense, but why would you start covering them in sticks? So then that's a good point too. This is where I go back and forth, and you guys are just listening to my brain going, I have no freaking idea what the hell the right answer is. Okay, so that's pretty much the important part from that one. So let me pull up the next one. Hi, Marshall. How was the doc? How was the doctor? So this one is from November 10th. This is on Rick Snae's Delphi After Dark. We're going to have to kind of go through this one together. This is the one that when I was talking to you guys yesterday, I said I have watched one. This was the one that I had watched. I did not realize that there was another two. Let me go. Actually, you know what? Let me pull up my messenger first because ATS says she sent me something. So before we move on to this one, let me look at that. I'm here. I'm just looking at something. Oh, I remember these photos. I think that most people who follow Delphi are going to know the photos that were on that paper blog. Yeah, I don't know if I want to share them. Yeah, so that's what I was wondering. The one that I think that's what ATS is talking about is the one that supposedly it's on the paper blog. It's the one that's supposedly of Abby, where it does look like there's horns, which is an interesting thing. But it also talks about like the sweatshirt pulled up over the head. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I do want to show you guys something else before because the last comment there was talking about DNA. I want to show you guys this. I was going to make it into a short because I don't think anybody pays much attention to this, but I keep talking about it, so I want you guys to see it. There's a gentleman, his name, he went by Michael Catt. He's passed away, and so not a lot of people are going back and looking at his stuff anymore. but he really just like went up and just talked to people. He's just kind of like his local guy just said, hey, you know, here's what I know, or here's what I want to know. This one is important because he talks to Kim Riley, and that was the public information officer. You're going to recognize him as soon as you see him. We're going to get through it, Sleuthy. We're going to get through it, I promise. I still have like 2 hours. But he talks to Kim Riley, and Kim Riley says something that's very, very important. And I think everybody needs to hear in the talk of DNA. So I'm going to play it for you guys.
What's up with the investigation? I mean, like, how's come nothing's came forward? It seems like a lot of
It's just one of those situations when we got a case that you know, this person's never apparently committed a crime before.
He just said, this person's apparently never committed a crime before. Now, you guys are in true crime. How would he know that the person's apparently never committed a crime before? He does look like a cool guy. I know. They ran the DNA through CODIS. This person's apparently never committed a crime before. It's not in CODIS. They couldn't match the DNA. Now, he backtracks here, so listen.
We have, you know,
You would feel that he had never committed a crime, he has no DNA in the database?
well, I can't comment on that, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like. I mean, it's a possibility he's done something, but we can't find no traces of it.
That was my first thought. I thought anybody at that age.
There you go. Or fingerprints. Whatever they had, the DNA is what they're talking about. They're talking about DNA. He's never committed a crime before. Or he never got caught, true. But my point is how would Kim Riley know that? Because whatever evidence they had, that person did not show up in the databases.
That would commit a crime like that would have priors.
Yeah,
You know?
you never know. You know, you got to start somewhere. I'm not the jury. All we do is collect
No,
evidence.
right, but that's why I was just
and
wondering
try to
if
work
there
it
was anything that you could share upon.
Not at this point in time.
Okay.
But appreciate you asking.
I
wish
keep
there
my
was.
eyes on it, you know, as hard as I can. Thank you.
Seriously? I'm muted? Great, thanks. I hate when I do that. I said I'll read this for you guys. Damn it. Said after this interview with Indiana State Police Trooper Kim Riley, right after the first year's press conference, Michael Catt made a video saying that Michael Catt felt that Carroll County had fingerprints as well as DNA of the suspect. Michael Catt then stated that a man of that age to commit such a crime would seem have done prior crimes of that nature. The man that Michael Catt was suspicious of does have prior murders, although he was never arrested in his past. So I'm going to play it one more time for you guys straight through so that I don't interrupt you listening to it. Because to me, that's an important clip that is not on the news. It's not anywhere because this is just a regular old guy, regular old local, walks up and starts asking questions, and this is what happens.
I mean, what's up with nothing's came forward. It seems like a lot of
You know, it's just one of those situations where we got a case that you know, this person's never apparently committed a crime before. We have, you know.
You would feel that he had never committed a crime. He has no DNA in the database.
Well, I can't comment on that, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like. I mean, it's a possibility he's done something, but we can't find no traces of it.
That was my first thought. I thought anybody at that age that would commit a crime like that would have priors.
Well,
You know.
you never know. You know, you got to start somewhere. I'm not the jury. All we do is collect
No,
evidence.
right, but that's why I was just wondering if there was anything that you could share upon.
Not at this point in time.
Okay.
But appreciate you asking.
I
wish
keep
there
my
was.
eyes on it, you know, as hard as I can. Thanks for
So I think that was just going along with the DNA stuff about not having DNA, not having finger. They obviously do. They ran something. And the person did not have a prior criminal history in the database. Yeah, he's so damn uncomfortable. Well, here's the thing, and he's now retired, but he's the one who actually gives so much information. I don't know if it's like Freudian slips or if it's that he wants the info out there, or he's just not really good at keeping secrets. I don't know what it is, but he's also the one that, remember, was telling us that the crime scene had spit on it, or that, you know, that people were out there peeing and spitting. And I think he just I think he's like, all right, I just want to talk. I'm just going to tell you what tornado artists say. Very early in this case, it was said they had touch DNA from Libby. I definitely think they have something. They have something very solid. There's not a no. There is something, and he's telling us that the person did not have a prior criminal history. Okay, let me get out of this one. But there's a lot of interesting videos if you guys are looking to look for like old info. Michael Catt's channel, all of his stuff is still up. So, local guy going around asking questions. You want to take a look at it. All right, let me get you the next one. Here it is. This is where we were at. Okay, so this is when Chris comes on.
I'm solving your murder for you. If Richard Allen's the accomplice, go get him. That's what I said in the interview. Go get him. You did
Chris
a great
Todd
job.
needs a
Nobody's
mic.
me. I think I know how he was revealed to them. I don't know. There's two theories. We can talk about that.
Well, what would you like to say about that? That's because that's something I thought.
I'd ask you first too. I'd say, what do you? Why don't this is your podcast? Why don't you guys set it up? Tell me, what are you hearing? Your boots on the ground. You're close with the people, close to the case. What are you
guys hear
hearing?
him?
How did they get onto Richard Allen?
Well, the story that I have is this child molester, this Marcos Salinas, was arrested, and they started questioning him about the same way they questioned Kagan Klein.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept going at him, saying, telling him that they had him, involved in the murder and everything. And he eventually said, hey, I'll tell you what you want to know. And he gave up the name Richard Allen. So I don't know if Marcos was involved in some way, like maybe he was like a lookout at the.
So this is interesting because this has been the comments that Mark Robert was making back in the day too, was about this Salinas character who he thought was the tipster. If you guys remember when we read through the Brandon Woodhouse messages, he's telling him, Mark is telling Brandon Woodhouse that he believes that there was a tip on I think he says, shit, maybe I should just bring those back up. He says on October 4th, I want to say, that there was a tipster named Marcos Salinas who turned in Richard Allen and cut a deal. So it's just like timing wise, looking back on things. Sleuthy, what was your saying that you had yesterday? Because it was literally perfect. Like as we sit here today and we're looking back, what was it like? Looking at the future from the past or something like that. Chris Todd is from California. Yes. Rick Snay's from Indiana. This one is from November 10th. Let me just double check that. Make sure I'm telling you the truth, but that's my memory. November 10th of 2022. Oh, the Salinas guy is from there. Yeah, looking into the future from the past. Yeah. Like knowing everything we know now and looking at some of this stuff, it's just so different than listening to it then.
At the Freedom Bridge or at the CPS building or whatever. And then the other way that they say he came up is someone turned him in for stealing something and then they came to his house. But the reason I doubt that, and then they arrested him and they did a DNA test and he hit. But the reason I doubt that is that I think they used the stolen property excuse so that people wouldn't talk about why they were searching.
Mhm.
You know, and when people say how much when they're asking about the search warrant and all that kind of stuff, you know, I have a lot of people saying, you know, that okay, here's a good the theft from the neighbor is too much of a coincidence. That's the kind of thing I'm hearing, that it would just be too much, you know, of a coincidence. And that
Well, we don't find an arrest. We don't find an arrest of him. I searched that. I had someone close to do the search going back 2 years. There is no record of him being arrested. And they wouldn't know he's involved in the murders. They would arrest him and they'd have no idea. The DNA would take days to come back. So
All eyes on Delphi.
that's
He could
why
be. I
this
know he's
worked.
from Indiana. I don't know exactly
The
where.
Salinas guy, and I read the information on his violent crimes. He's going away for a long time. He's gone. And yeah, could he flip on Richard Allen? Sure. The question is, how did he know this? How
Exactly.
Did Richard Allen confess to him? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. That these guys knew this and Salinas didn't come forward before. And now the Kegan Kline, if he's the other admin on the Anthony Schatz profile, right? And now Kegan Kline flips him.
Well, according to what we've seen so far, there is no tipster. But the rumor mill has run rampant with the fact that somebody turned him in, and that's what made them start going back through and looking at the tips. So they're using the tip as the beginning of they're using the tip as the beginning narrative. Now, that's very possible. They don't have to put that in there, because if you have an informant, it doesn't have to be part of what you've done. So an informant gives law enforcement the information, right? They cannot go just arrest people or anything based on an informant. They have to actually go find evidence. They have to go find evidence that matches so that they can arrest the person. So now if there is an informant, if there is, that does not have to be in the probable cause affidavit. So what they would do is they would get that information, say, hey, you know, this guy, and this is total just out here. This guy came and confessed. He told me that he talked to you guys and you guys didn't give a crap about him. So they're like, holy crap, we talked to him. And so they start going back through the tips, and then they find him. And that tip now starts the chain of evidence in how they're going to get the search warrant and how they're going to, you know, start interviewing him again, interviewing his wife, interviewing his friends, interviewing his family, and arresting him at the end of October. So the informant does not have to be in the probable cause affidavit. I just want to make that clear. So just by what we know from documentation now, we have not seen an informant. It has to be in discovery, and it's not there. Well, we don't have discovery. So there's also the Wabash River search. That's true. On one of the very first hearings with Baldwin and Rosie, they asked the court to make sure that if there is anybody that the state has made a plea deal with, that they have all the information of that person that they have all the information of that person and the deal specifics. That's what they wanted first and foremost. And McClellan says, we don't have a deal with anybody. But we talked about this too. That does not mean that they weren't in the process of making a deal. It does not mean that there isn't a deal that to be made after testimony and after a conviction. Because a lot of the times it's like, you give us the information, then once we get you on the stand, you say this, under penalty of perjury, and we get a conviction, then we'll sign off on your deal. So is it just kind of semantics? I don't know. Have to tell the judge, but that you do not have to put it in your probable cause affidavit. Just another rumor. Like I said, we don't have discovery, so we don't know. But I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you kind of the narrative that's being put out there. Are we sure the defense has all the discovery? Well, this defense does not. The new defense does not have all the discovery. I can guarantee you that. And the old defense had a discovery deadline of November 1st, where Nick had to turn everything over, and we know we never made it to November 1st. So we don't. That's another great thing. We don't have all the filings, so we know that. Is there a way to find out tipsters even though you want to be unknown? Though if it did come across in discovery, you could be, it depends, because informants do have legal rights to maintain their anonymity. But there are times where this is kind of one of those things, like the way I learned it was you can't really tell an informant, like, don't worry, nobody's ever going to know you existed unless it's completely off the record. But like a paid informant, then there's a possibility that those people would have to testify, but that's up to a judge and all the legalese behind it. They don't have DNA. Yeah, they don't have DNA that matches Richard Allen. I don't know how he passed away. I believe it was 2-ish years ago. Somebody who actually knows more about him would be able to tell you. Sometimes K gets censored. YouTube's like, K, we're not going to let all your stuff go through. Yeah, we never made it to November. Daily Mail, apparently, Sonny from It's a Crime and Shame was talking about that the Daily Mail has been putting offers out. I don't know. Yeah, in chambers. Yeah, that is an interesting. Okay, let me go back to playing this. He passed away from complications of a seizure. Oh.
2 years later, and he knew Richard Allen. Then Kegan's getting more charges, but they just dropped 5 charges against him.
Right. To me, the telltale sign is the police don't come to you and say, well, if you don't talk, we're going to charge you with this or that. They charge you, and then they say, we'll reduce the charges if you talk. So to me, if they thought Kegan Kline had something to do with the murders, they would have charged him with murder.
Yeah, the Kegan, we know there was some involvement. We've talked about this before. Other people have talked about this. And the media has driven this Kegan Kline thing because they like to show the pretty picture of the fireman who lives in Canada. And they get all into this. And to me, it's disgusting. Like, no offense, and I know a lot of the reporters. I talked to them. 2 of them just wrote me this morning. I talk to them a lot. They do fake stories. They print fake news. They don't solve anything. Okay. How, let's just get back to the Ron Logan thing for a second. You have a tape. You have a video. You have photographs. You have his voice. And you can't figure out it's him. And you're in a small town. What's up? How do you guys not see it?
So it's interesting because Chris Todd is still believes that Ron Logan, I don't know if he still believes to this day, but at this time,
it hurt too much to say he did it.
he believes that
it hurts more for the family
that Ron Logan is bridge guy, but not necessarily, but that Richard Allen comes into play later. Well, it's an interesting point of view based on the charges that we know of Richard Allen, because like we've talked about before with those charges, the cops are saying that Richard Allen is bridge guy and that there could possibly be somebody else later on. They're saying the opposite.
Families in the community to live in fear. They think there's someone out there, another murderer. Okay. And I told someone yesterday, this thing's going to volcano soon. And everybody's going to get burned. Like it's going to be really, really bad. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's when the trial starts. I don't know if it's in 2 weeks when the PC comes out, right? When they release the probable cause, there's going to be a volcano.
Oh, yes. And I think that's one of the reasons why they have the record sealed right now.
Yep.
Because they know it's going to be a problem.
There's going to be a mob mentality. And I know they just had this sheriff election. They're going to look at the police real close after this. How did you not know it was Ron Logan? How did you not know it was Richard Allen? He worked down the street. He was living and walking in the town. Now, the reason Richard Allen gets an out, because he's not BG. He's not on tape.
Right.
It's not him. You had to open Pandora's box, right? You had to get Logan first. And that's why this thing sat stale for almost 6 years. In today's day, in 2022, you mean to tell me with all our technology, that's why I came on the case. Because I said, wait, there's a video. There's a video. He's moving. He's walking. He's there. He's pixelated, but they can zoom in. They can clean that up. People came forward and said that looks a lot like Ron Logan.
Yeah, so Chris Todd states in multiple interviews that he does believe that Richard Allen and Ron Logan are both in it. They're both involved.
Okay. And where's the aquarium store people? Where are the statements from them? Where's their statements? What time did Ron Logan show up to the aquarium store? You didn't want to ask them that? Wasn't that important to see if he lied about when he was there? So there's a lot, but the technology point is, we can't let Delphi and Carroll County or the state of Indiana set us all back 100 years of forensic technology for their one case. I'm sorry. You can't. And you made it a national story. You did your press conferences. You went on all the stations, right? You did your little press tour. Your stories come to my feed in LA. So when we say, oh, this outsider's coming in, then stop talking about it in my town. Then stop telling us out in California about your great police work.
Mm-hmm.
This question, Kay, so kind of important discovery would have had to have been turned over already, and defense specifically asked about it, and Ellie said it doesn't exist. I'm not sure exactly what discovery you're referring to, but no, what I do believe would happen is they would probably keep some of the most important discovery until the end and give it at the deadline. Because it's like a game of chess. I mean, as much as we want to think it's just all like, above par, which I mean, some of us here don't, but they're going to keep some of and then they're going to bury it. So if you remember, they got discovery, or the prosecution had sent discovery to the defense team after the September 18th memorandum. And in that was a ton of info. And the defense team was like, some of this we've already gotten. So this is kind of what happens they want to bury some of the stuff. And then, and I'm not just talking about this case. This is kind of just how it goes. This is what happens. They took the professor's interview and just labeled it with Turco interview versus like, here's the Purdue professor. When asked I don't remember what hearing it was, that they asked something about giving them specific discovery or at least pointing to where this specific discovery was. McClellan's response was, it sounds like they want us to do their job for them, and we're not going to do that. I don't know if that's the right question that you wanted answered, but no, I do think they would try to keep some of it until the very end, and that's what they're going to give over. And they're going to bury it in a lot of repeated shit. That's where I'm at. It's just a prosecution tactic. Yeah, exactly. They have to turn over everything, but they didn't have. You got to remember, October 12th, they were told to stop working on the case. October 19th, we know what happened. They went into chambers, and then everything became about, you know, them even staying on the case. And they had until November 1st to turn over all the discovery. They did not have all the discovery yet. It wasn't all given to them. And if it was in that last couple of batches. Yeah, it's not just, this is just how it goes. Especially in big cases that have tons and tons of discovery. I mean, you're talking 5.5 years by the time they arrested him, and another year of investigation.
I think a lot of times with this case, everything goes back.
Hey, are you telling me I spent all that time answering not even the right question? Figures. Okay, hold on. How could RL even known he would be needing an alibi in the first place? What if the girls were just lost or missing, in which case no alibi needed, no crime? He knew they were at that spot, is what I'm assuming that means. I've thought about this. You want a reasonable answer. I don't know if there really is one, but I do think it depends on what he knew. It depends on what he was told. And I think that that's kind of important too. Now, does that mean that he didn't know they were there? I can't say that. I don't know. I've wondered this. Did he go out there and do something? And Chris Todd says something that I found very interesting. Does he go out there, clean up and try to make things not so gory for whoever finds it? I don't know. Hi, Ivy. I feel like Ellie, at least at one point, wanted Ron to be guilty. I agree with you. I think that was one of their main focuses. In my opinion, if they could have proved his guilt, they gladly would have. That's where I'm at. This is where I run into a lot of issues, because I don't see I cannot find zero reasons why law enforcement would try to lock up Ron Logan for what was he going to be in prison for 5 years? He serves like 2 of them. Why would they want to lock him up and do all these things to quote unquote torture him behind bars, but to cover up the fact that he actually did the crime? That makes no sense to me. Hey, Gray. Ron Logan is not the bridge guy. Yeah, well, this is what we were talking about too. It's Richard Allen is the one who's actually charged with being bridge guy. So you can't have both. You can't try to switch the 2 characters and put them in different places. And here's another thing. If Ron Logan was the guy and they really wanted to pin it on him, and that's what they were doing, why wouldn't they, after he dies, just go, yep, we've got the evidence. We don't ever have to prove it because he's dead, and now the case is closed. Ron Logan did it. That's also where I'm at with it. I don't see any reason for law enforcement to want to cover for Ron Logan. I feel like Ron Logan knew law enforcement did not like him, and no matter what he did, he was going to be looked at. And that made him want to have an alibi for whatever was happening. Did he come upon them? I don't know those kinds of things. But do I think he did it? No. I don't think he's bridge guy. I think he's too tall to be bridge guy. Be nice. Bridge guy is a figment of law enforcement's imagination, planted there by those very close to the girls that actually did the crime. Yeah. well, I believe that part of the reason that we have such a cluster is because every piece of law or every section of law enforcement almost had a different perpetrator in mind. Okay, we'll keep going.
To Carroll County being completely unable to handle this type of a case. You know, I remember when it first happened, they said something about, well, I think we had a homicide about 10 years ago, you know. That tells you right there, you know, they can't even remember if they had a homicide 10 years ago or not.
But these people are trained in an academy, okay? And it doesn't take a lot of rockets. The problem is the prosecutor. So the first one was Robert Ives, dereliction of duty, first off, right away. Because and same with the guy now, Nick McClelland, whatever his name is. They reached out to him. They tried to talk to him. Nope, didn't want to talk to anybody. Well, now you're going to get burned because you guys, the prosecutors, the DAs, it's their job to prosecute the case. It's not the police. The police have to build the case, go to the DA, right? And say, I think we have enough. Why did the DA not have his own investigators? Why didn't Robert Ives have his own investigators go start sniffing this out? Why? Why not? That's your job. That's what you get paid for. Those are your constituents, your citizens. Two girls get tortured in front of each other. There's a lot of things about this murder that have not even come out yet that I know from the Leos. It'll make your head spin. Okay? And the public, they were never shown an autopsy. The families don't even know how they were killed still to this day. The public has no idea. Stuff is leaked out. Yeah, Reddit's all over it. And yeah, there's some stuff. You know a lot about the case. So, you know, there's just a lot of these, but it takes common sense. That's what I'm saying. I don't care what cop you are, Texas, Florida, North Dakota, use common sense. The girls are found on his property. He's home. It says his phone he's active. He's right there. So it's sad. It's sad too, you know.
And the point that you made in the book is that in any other case, any murder case, if a body was found on somebody's lawn, they're getting searched.
Your door's getting kicked in.
Didn't happen.
Not being
here.
asked anything. And
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the Leos, look, the Leos are courageous. When they came to myself and the other private investigator, who I thought was going to come on, and we could invite him in if we want. What I'm saying is, I am hard on people too. I was a whistleblower, okay, on a very famous organized crime case. My life was in jeopardy myself, okay. When I was approached,
the only problem I have with this, K-Bird, is because for years, all the comparisons to the sketches and all the comparisons to Bridge Guy, you know, the actual images that are, in my opinion, completely distorted. There's so many of the POIs that I was like, yeah, that guy looks just like him. So I struggle because even though, yes, I can see Richard Allen, I also could see a lot of these other people, you know. So I have a hard time saying, yeah, for sure that's who it is. Otherwise, I definitely can see it, but I could see other people too. So I can't trust my own opinion when it comes to that, if that makes sense.
or when we were approached, and when I began my discussions with these Leos on the case, very close to the case, okay, I grilled them and said, why didn't you kick in Ron Logan's door? We should have. And at least they admitted it. And I found that noble, because I'm not going to let you off the hook either. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say like, oh, pat these guys on the back.
Here, hold on. I have that. I have a picture. I'll show you. Let me get rid of some of the older ones. Hold on.
Remember, when does Ron?
Rod Abrams. There you go. That's Rod. Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, there was a lot of people that, you know, came out and were blaming their own family members and everything. And I was like, oh my, I could totally see it. You want Ron Logan's property? I'll show you. I'll show you his property. I should just take a picture of this and put it in here too. So this is current time Google Earth. This is his property lines. From his property, they weren't far. I couldn't really make it as rounded, obviously, but they're here. Property lines. This becomes like the Mears. This is the creek. Like they could have, I mean, a few more, not a few, but you know, some feet over. It would have been on the Mears property versus his. Thank you for coming by, Gray. I appreciate it. Hi, Schmeed. 1,400 feet from his door to his property. That doesn't seem reasonable to me. But all the men look the same. Yeah, can you guys put, yeah, just, you guys know, like, that's really the only thing that I ever ask of you guys is just to be kind to each other. Please don't make people uncomfortable and not want to be here. That is not, I don't like that. That's not what this is about. It's about putting our minds together and getting the facts together so that we can put some things to rest. Get rid of the drama and the speculation and the bullshit and just work towards putting facts together in a cohesive way where they're not questionable anymore, and that's it. So please, whatever you're doing, just be kind to each other in chat. That's literally the only thing I ever ask of you guys. Yeah, I know, but it just doesn't seem feasible to me. What do you think, Kay? Do you think it just seems so much further? This is Weber's over here. This is all, there's so much Weber on this side. This is Mears over here. And then Mears over here. That's what I got when I looked at the property lines anyway. It says it's Mears. I took this from the property lines from the city. Okay. So yeah, kind of a weird shape, but it's not close to, I mean, it's not too close to the house, but it's really close to another property. So that's that. Like his photos himself, or the photos of the land for Pipples. Because yeah, that's another one that's where do I have him? No, because not my main suspect, because I don't think Ron Logan had anything to do with it. So we're going through Chris Todd. I see what you're saying, and there are others who are similar in appearance, but when you add that to Ari admitting his guilt, his daughter shunning him, do you think his daughter shunned him? Because this is a big question I've had, K-Bird. Like, where is she? Where is she? Why isn't she around? But his daughter's still supporting him. Okay. Let's get back over here. Back on topic. Wherever that was. Here it is. Yeah, I think that's so true. Like literally anybody if you drive through Delphi, it's like, wait a minute, when were you here last? How long did you stay? What do you know?
24. No. Why didn't you kick in his door? We should have. Was he home? Yeah. Did he come outside? Nope. He's hid in his house. Okay. So let's think about that rubbernecking. Most humans, if they see a car accident, they're going to look. If you had police officers walking in your backyard, you're not going to come out and go, what's going on? Like, is there a fugitive on the loose? You're going to sit in your house? Yeah, because you're guilty. And they should have had blood. Yeah, and they should have had bloodhounds. The bloodhounds would have picked up the scent of Abby and Libby's blood, literally their scent also. They would have run right back to Ron Logan's house.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, right away, following the trail. They can be trained and told to hit on certain scents also. They can differentiate the scents of the killer versus the victims. Do you know how far Ron Logan's house was from there? 1,500 feet. Do you know how far a bloodhound can search? 100 miles.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Months later. So, but my point is, the Leos I felt were courageous, and I felt they were being honest. Oh, we saw this cleaner, this orange cleaner sitting outside, out of place. We didn't really realize it at first till we watched later on the body cam footage.
Yeah, and that's on body cam footage.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, why is the orange cleaner sitting out in the winter out of place? Because he went and cleaned off the bodies. That's why they're found wet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why is the hoodie wet? Like we talked about too. Why is that hooded sweater wet? Because he's dumping water on him with orange cleaner. Why is there no DNA?
Right.
The Leos say there's no DNA. That it came from a lab technician.
Peanut, my dog's causing me some issues.
So
Oh.
do they have Richard Allen's DNA? I don't know. Did they miss it? Did the Leos?
Chris Todd
I
is
don't
the
know.
one that wrote the book that we went through, Forest for the Trees. He was talking with some law enforcement agents that were whistleblowers, and he's talked with some locals and some family members. Yeah. Oh, what's his screen name? Here, I'll put it on the screen. He just stopped in. Now I lost it. Give me a second. Right here. That's Chris. His daughter's living her life in trauma. Well, I could never imagine, because a lot of these kids that are, children of people who are murderers or are suspected murderers, their life isn't going to be the same regardless. There's a book called Down the Hill. Yeah, I have that one too. I have not gotten to it yet. The one I'm reading right now, here, I'll turn it on. The one I'm reading right now is The Delphi Murders. It's the one by True Crime Garage. That's the one I'm in the middle of. Randy Gravitt, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He has a channel, and he's actually reading through Susan Hendrick's book, Down the Hill. That's the one he's reading right now. All right, you guys, be nice to each other. If you guys are going to be here in chat, you gotta be nice to each other. So if you guys want to know more about the Down the Hill book, I have not started that one yet to be able to discuss it. Head over to Randy Gravitt's channel, because he's going through it.
It's a little fishy, man.
The
Look,
next
it's
one I'll
great
do is the
mystery
one
right
by
now,
True
too.
Crime Garage.
There's a lot of and I think everybody's important. Even all the podcasters, I know there's like 10 of them. Okay. They're all important. I'll say that. I'm not coming after them. I'm not mad at any of them. I've had discussions with a few of them. We know Ron Logan's involved.
Mhm.
Even if Ron Logan didn't kill the girls, he's double murder. He brought them down to the killer. He walked them at gunpoint down the hill. That's double murder. So
Right. My I had something up about the Flora thing, so I want to get to that in a minute
Yeah,
here.
sure.
But to answer Glenn Davis's point here, he says his property isn't a lawn; it's a huge wooded area, huge with easy public access. That's not exactly true. It is not easy public access. You have to go onto private property to get to that. And unless you knew, because the Webbers who live right next door to Ron are religiously guarding that property. I stepped foot off of that bridge, and within minutes, the Webbers were onto me. And they were telling me, this is private property. You got to go. It's not easy to get to, as Ron said, you got to walk to get there. Oh, by the way, thank you, Juana. Appreciate.
Well, you
that.
can, and also to Glenn Davis, you can give him props. He wants to put up an idea, which is partially true. It isn't a lawn. There's a hill. You have to go out into the woods. I get it, but we don't stick up for murderers. I don't care if it's easy to get to his house or it's hard. I don't care, to be honest. Okay, it's his property. 2 girls were murdered. Always look at the case through the victim's eyes. And if he didn't do it, then clear him. Then search his house. Why didn't they search his house for 30 days?
Mm-hmm.
Who would
that to me is the biggest thing.
What does that make? Does that make any sense to you? And also when one of the reporters asks, he's one of the top ISP guys. He's like in his car. This was years ago. And the reporter, I think she was from Chicago. And she's basically asking him, why didn't you search Ron Logan's house for 30 days? He just brushes right over the question. He goes,
"You guys are killing me. I know that you guys don't like each other. I get it. I get it. I'm trying to just get some factual information to figure out what the hell happened with the leaks, where they came from. The title of the live is to figure out when, how, where did Chris Todd get these photos? When does he start talking about them? I know that there are people here who don't like Gray. I have no problem with Gray. Please, so I get it. If you don't like Gray, don't watch him, block him. That's fine. If you don't like Chris Todd, I get that too. Just block him and move on. You guys, you make it very complicated. And this is one of the reasons I'll tell you right now, when I end up not covering a case, because I really just want to talk about the facts behind what we know. And we're listening to this to piece together what we can figure out as a group of people who are just looking to find the facts, to lay them out in a cohesive manner. That's what we're going through. I am okay that you guys don't find people credible. I'm okay that you don't like people, but I cannot have you guys being in here and just being assholes to each other. It's just not going to work because it's too distracting. It takes away, it just takes away from what I'm really trying to do, which is just go through the information, siphon through, and see what we come out with at the other end. That's it. I don't care if Chris Todd thinks that Ron Logan did it. I don't care if you guys think that Ron Logan did it. I don't care if you think that Richard Allen did it. I do not care. The reason I even started doing any of this crap with this case, knowing that there was just so much animosity on these YouTube streets when it comes to it, was because I wanted to be able to pull out all of the factual information that we can prove. That's it. I just want to find the information we can prove to be true, put it together, and then give it to anybody who wants it. I'm not here to, I don't want to gatekeep the information. Everything I put on there is free to you guys. Everything I find that I can back up, find, screenshot, whatever it is, I'm giving to all of you guys. I just want the actual facts. That's it. And I can't get those because people want to fight with each other. And then I end up talking about this, and I don't want to talk about this. So, and as much as you guys don't like each other, I promise you, I appreciate anybody who wants to come in here and who has information that actually makes sense. And here you go. You have 2 people who don't like each other and both have information that actually get justice for Abby and Libby. that actually put factual information or are given information by people close to the case that can help us put together an accurate and true timeline. But because they don't like each other, that it ends up being about a fight instead of about what they both have to offer. So I just want you guys to just stop for a second. Think about the fact, if either you want justice for Abby and Libby, you want the truth out there, you're done with the secrets and the gatekeeping and the bullshit. If that's what you really want, then you got to stop fighting with each other, because I'm telling you, everybody here has so many pieces, but because everybody hates each other, nobody wants to share and nobody wants to put it out there because everybody else is stealing it or doing whatever. We really just need to figure out the damn facts. That's it. So I get it. I really do. And I really like so many of you guys. But I'm going to tell them, and I don't block people. I'm telling you, I literally have 10 people on my block list. If it continues and there's name calling, the mods can just block you. I'm at the point where I want to figure this out, and I can't do it being distracted. And as much as I love hanging out with you guys, I have 3 kids I got to pick up from school, so I'm on a time crunch. I don't have time to be distracted. Can we just do that? Chris, let me see. Okay. I'll get you a link. Here's the thing. You come on, you cannot talk shit about creators. You cannot talk shit about people in chat. And you people in chat cannot talk shit about Chris Todd, whether you like him or not. Let's just figure it out. I don't block people. I don't actually like blocking people. Hi, Sleuth Intuition. Thank you. Happy holidays. And I love your Santa hat. And you had a very good stream earlier that I haven't got to finish yet. So that's it. That's really all I want. I just think that it's gotten so far away from what it should be about. And I'm here. The thing is it's just frustrating. Okay. Let me get a link for you. Okay, I'll send it to you. I appreciate that. He just said, I'll come on and explain who did all this so we can get some of the information. Perfect. I sent, Chris, I sent you the link. Hi, Aspen. When Aspen comes in, and it's a crying shame, I fangirl. I'll just tell you, fangirl over here. Hi, Punksy. Hi, Chair K. Everybody's probably doing keeping it in task. I think you might need a Ben and Jerry. I need like a bucket of it. What flavor should I get? You guys are making me bring out the vape. Yeah, it's Christmas. Let's just show some kindness to somebody somewhere. Somebody that you're not normally kind to. Try to give them some kindness and see if it makes a difference. All right, I sent Chris the link in his email, so hopefully he gets it. And breathe and be kind. Hi, Just Deb. Shit. I haven't set my vape down yet. All right, let me pull this off the screen. Hi, Chris.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Nice to meet you.
You too. I emailed you back. I don't know if you saw my other email before.
I have not. I went live after pretty much almost after I emailed you. So I thank you for stopping by. And to let
Yeah, I
everybody
wrote you.
I did let him know that I was going to be going over his interviews today. So if he wanted to stop by, I'm happy that he did, and I do appreciate that you came by.
Yeah, I said, I like your stuff. You're very respectful. I have no issue with you. I'm not going to say anybody's name. I'm tired of these people saying stuff about me. I'm here. You guys want to talk? Let's talk right now. Let's
do it.
right now.
Okay, so you can tell me the story about who found the bodies, how that all went down.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Ask away.
So from my understanding, there's different groups of people that are claiming they found the bodies. Then there's also the fact that there's supposedly a submergence of different groups on the bodies. I would like to know what you know about who actually was there.
Okay, I'll give you the short version. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There were many people that searched the night before. Okay, you've said David Erskine's name many times. He was one of the searchers. I don't know too much about Eric Williams. I'm sure he did some good stuff too. Okay. The next morning, the searchers were given quadrants. Amy, Elo, and David Erskine were given that quadrant. They found the bodies. That's it. Nobody else. Was Pat Brown nearby? Sure. Was someone across the road at the Webbers? Sure. Could they see the bodies? Probably. I could throw a stone and hit them from across the creek. So there's other people there, but the people that called Drew Yoder and the other detective or sheriff was Amy, Elo, and David Erskine.
Okay. So
this Pat Brown finding the bodies that Caleb Boland said on Hannah Shakespeare's thing, and Ron Logan said that. Don't you see the strangeness of that? That they keep saying Pat Brown found the bodies, Ron Logan and Caleb Boland. It's deception. This case has been deceived from day one.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's why I'm like, I just want anything that we can back up with facts. That's what I'm here. I'm just trying to put it all together and say this is what we've got and this is what's real.
You have the metadata. You have the metadata that Gavin Fish put up. You can't fake metadata. That's when the photos were taken. Okay.
Who took them?
I don't know if I should say who took them.
That's up to you. I want to know.
Let's just say it this way. I named 3 people that found the bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of those people took the pictures.
Okay. Well, so there's a controversy between it being Elo or being David Erskine, who actually took the photos with the metadata.
Maybe we talk about it at a later time and we can ask them for their permission before we reveal that.
Okay. So we have 3 people that found the bodies. David Erskine says that Amy and Elo were on the ATVs.
Mm-hmm.
So they drove up to the bodies on the ATVs?
Yes, and David is walking. I've never heard anything about a canoe. I don't know if you guys are talking about a canoe. The way I was told the story is that the 3 of them, when Amy and Elo are the closest to the bodies, okay, David Erskine is in the creek. He looks up over the embankment. You can't see. It's like a 7-8 foot embankment when you're in the creek. You can't see. He gets a glance of them. That's why he gives differing accounts about what he's seeing. Okay? He does not walk up to the bodies. He freaks out. He flips out. He goes and drinks a bunch of beer after. He loses his mind. Okay? He will tell you that story. So do you see what I'm saying? Amy and I talked to Elo, okay? Amy and Elo found the bodies. David was there. He got a glance. He didn't want to look at them. He didn't touch them. Nobody touched the bodies. Nobody took pictures of the bodies, okay? There are no photos of the bodies, not from those 3. If other people took them, the way they say it was, in 10 minutes, took about 10 minutes for Drew Yoder to walk down the hill.
Okay.
The pictures were taken to protect the searchers, that they didn't move anything. They didn't tamper with evidence.
Of the girls.
The photos of the girls that Mitch Westerman leaked?
Yeah, who took those photos? Do you know?
That's the police.
Okay, so then my question
That's the
is,
crime scene. Yeah.
so you were discussing on a live with Rick Snay about that you had crime scene photos, and you were talking about that you could show them or not show them, and you ended up showing the one with the shoe, which we have those 3 that Gavin Fish ended up putting out in like January. There was some speculation on whether you actually had photos at that time, which would have been back on December 3rd, of the girls' bodies.
Okay, what I call crime scene photos is what you guys call the clothing pictures. What I call them the body pictures. Okay, so let's just make the quick difference. There's body pictures and there's clothing in the creek pictures. I'm not going to comment about the body pictures at all. Okay, the clothing pictures, I'm not going to comment too much about how Gavin Fish got those. Okay. Gavin Fish had a lot of courage, and he did something none of those reporters in Indianapolis would do. None. Those pictures are not police's photos. They're not. They're not part of the discovery. I have another case I'm working right now in Iowa. I have a photo of a kid, his body, before any police are there. That is not the property of the police. Us as civilians, as whistleblowers, we have the right to help murder victims too. The cops don't run everything. They're not in charge. And so I'm just going to say that, but I want to clarify that. The clothing pictures, which people called, the crime scene, and Sleuth Intuition showed him, which was cool, and he did some cool stuff. I think all the podcasters are important. I do. I've tried to help you guys. I tried. I said it was Ron Logan in 2017. So it's all good. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Stop the name calling, like you said in your moderators. Stop writing me harassing emails. Stop calling me names on lives. Stop doing that. You're cool. I know everybody on the case. I know every single podcaster, and most of those people will tell you that I've reached out to them. Grizzly True Crime, Sleuth Intuition. They'll all say it. A Criming Shame. Wife Lilith, Holly, Snay, Graz. Name him. You're not going to name one. I recently saw your stuff, which I'm happy, and people sent it to me saying, they're talking about you. I have no problem with what you did. You were respectful. You talked about the book. Absolutely. I think you put up great stuff. You're categorizing things. You have an amazing ability to organize stuff. Very impressed. And so I'm willing to help where I can. And you can ask me what you want, or I'll step out and let you finish your thing. I'm tired. I'm tired of these people saying stuff about me.
So I think that I think you know this. You don't have a big fan club. There's not a ton of people that are Chris Todd advocates and putting out like, hey, we think that you're, the best thing since sliced bread.
And they said the same thing. Hold on. Okay, good. I want to say, I'm going to say something. I'm going to plug it. My lawyer never wants me to do this, but for your case, I'm going to do it. And for your situation, they said the same thing to me about Natalie Wood. And they said the same thing to me about O.J. Simpson. Okay. They said the same thing. And look what I did on those cases. Magic. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying people, they make comments about me. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't watch my Biggie Solve. They don't watch my John Bonet interview. They don't watch my OJ Ron Goldman interview. Go watch my stuff, then talk to me. Then ask me about how I risked my life to help people, to help families. Okay? I'm in a way like you. I sense your frustration on Delphi.
I am.
In a way, for me, I tell some people close to me, I sort of rue the day I got involved with Delphi.
Yeah. I typically will stop talking about a case because it becomes just it becomes more about the people versus the information. And for me, it's not about the people. I like people and I love having people that are here, but the information, the factual information is what is important, so that it's out there and it's done, and people, the fighting can ultimately end, because then the facts are there and you can't argue with facts. The facts are the facts and it's the bottom line. So people end up arguing over these personalities because they don't like each other. But in essence, all these people, you included, and including Gray Hughes, you guys have information that is actually very important to putting facts together. And it sucks when everybody just ends up fighting with each other because we don't like each other.
Or we'll say because they don't agree with each other. So I don't agree with what he says. I just don't. But I don't go jump on his channel. You see what I mean? And he goes and makes comments about News Nation, Court TV. Just do your own thing. And so the other stuff too is what I'm saying is if people believe Richard Allen is bridge guy, that's your opinion. And to you, you might believe it's fact. That's fine. Okay? None of us are God. The bridge guy is not both. He is one person. And we'll find out who it is when the trial happens. Okay? I'm sticking to my guns. I'm sticking to my theory. These people want to stick to their theory, then go ahead. And look, like the OJ case, nobody believed OJ had an accomplice. They still don't believe it. I've shown them his confession, tape, written version, photos, murder information that only the police have. I have the whole discovery file. People, they'll never believe it. It doesn't matter what you say. And I think Delphi will be the same way. Even if Richard Allen gets convicted as bridge guy, there's going to be people who don't believe he's bridge guy, and there's going to be people who believe he didn't do it. There's a lot of people that think Richard Allen's innocent. If you really read the comments, yeah.
I'm not sold either way on Richard Allen. I think that's why I ended up stuck here. So, but I want to ask you more about the photos and stuff, because I that's really what I was going through your
okay, sure, yeah,
to understand and figure out is the timeline on the photos. So there's a rumor out there that you purchased the photos of the clothing from David Erskine.
I would never pay for anything. My lawyer would never let me do that.
Okay. Did David Erskine give you the photos of the clothing in the creek?
No comment.
Okay. Are you familiar with Mark Robert Cohen?
No comment.
Has Mark Robert Cohen given you any information pertinent to the photos of the girls or the clothes in the creek?
No comment.
Okay. Let me see.
Robert Fortson. Did Robert Fortson show me and tell me things? No comment.
Okay.
I'm upset that that Fortson did this. I am. I'm bothered by it, and I know some of us are bothered. He used to write me. He used to email me respectfully. He tried to argue with me about a couple things. Okay. I don't talk about it much. Okay. I knew he knew something. I don't know how he had access to the discovery file. He knew this stuff a long time ago. I don't know how. I give him credit. I give him kudos for him putting in the time. I never knew who Mitch Westerman was. I'd never heard of this guy. I don't know much about him. I know Fortson had said things, and we are going to reveal who tipped off police about Richard Allen. I am going to reveal those people.
When are you going to do that?
I think very soon. I'm willing to do it with you.
Okay.
And I also talked to another person that hopefully this person doesn't say it yet. I've had a couple conversations and I've talked to some reporters too. Has nothing to do with the discovery file. I don't have the discovery file. Nothing. I don't have any of the police's materials. So I'll say that right now. So these are my freedom of speech, my First Amendment to talk about an investigation. This is my theory, my case. This is what I've heard from multiple people about who turned in Richard Allen. And I looked at Marco Salinas. We did that, and it's not him. And it's not anything. Some people have already talked about it. I'm sure a lot of the hardcore people, they say it's a rumor. I'm finding out that it's pretty much fact. And for 100%, can I say it's absolute? No, but it's super interesting. I'll tell you that.
So have you had any access to what was leaked via the Discovery Index thumb drive? The thumb
that
drive?
I saw that either on Reddit, the outlines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that either. That's online. I never was given that.
Private information.
Yeah, that's like, yeah.
Okay, so when were you first made aware that there were photos of the girls' bodies floating around the internet?
That's a good question. When an investigator texted me who was close to the defense team, and that must have been before Murder Sheet, before Snay, like right in that window, like those people got it. Okay, look, I'll say this. I never received the body pictures at all. Those were sent, none of them.
Yeah.
Rick Snay said he had them. Murder Sheet said they got them. Someone else did too. I don't know if that was a woman. I'm not sure who it was. Those people, God, I didn't get those. And to be honest, and some of the people that know me, you're going to like the way I say this, I wish I got them. And I was offended that I wasn't sent them.
Okay.
I don't know why Fortson and look, Westerman and Fortson, I don't know why they chose Murder Sheet, Rick Snay. From what I heard, they liked their stuff. They wanted to jump into the pot, stir up the pot. They had big egos. They wanted to rub it in people's face. And I have this from a pretty good source that Fortson wanted to rub it a little bit in people's face. Like, I know this, you don't know that. And here you go. And they proved it by sending them those body pictures. I call them body pictures. I don't call them crime scene photos. So
Okay.
I've never seen them. I wish I did. And look, partly a close friend of mine and my attorney said, Chris, we're glad they didn't send them to you because we had a big feeling you'd leak them. And I was like, phew, you're probably right. I probably would have shown the media and the public.
So you talked with Robert Fortson via like emails or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Did he,
over a while period for months before back.
so when did he tell you that he had access to the body pictures, as you refer to them?
He didn't tell me that. He didn't say he had the body pictures. He kept saying, Chris, you know these sticks, there's a ritualistic killing. These sticks, the sticks. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, they're sticks. Show me, tell me something. The weird thing was at the very end, after he passed, I wrote him days before he passed, after the Frank's motion came out and the whole thing with the Odin theory and all that. I saved this email. I don't have his incoming. I delete a lot of my emails. I emailed to Fortson and I said, I'm all ears, man. I am sorry. I should have listened to you. Talk to me. A week later, he was passed on.
He never responded to that
Did not
email?
respond. Nope.
When did he originally tell you about that the memorandum was going to be coming out or something along those lines?
He really kept saying sticks. This would have been months ago. This has got to be in the summer. This is a while ago.
He knew about the sticks.
From what I'm hearing, he had the whole discovery file. He has the whole thing. And so does Westerman. That's what I'm being told.
What about Mark? Does he have it?
I really don't know much about this guy that you keep saying. People keep saying his name. They say different names. They're calling him different names. You're talking about where we say the guy from Texas?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, I don't know much.
It goes by Mark Robert on social media. He has told people that he's actually the person who gave you photos.
You'd have to show me him saying he gave me photos. I do not know much about this person.
Okay.
I've heard about him and read it. I mean, look, I'm pretty in tune, whatever the word is. I know everybody that's out there. All of you. Okay. I have a compliment.
Like, I know all of you.
Yeah, I know all of you.
Cohen, Mark Robert, Funko Cohen, Dread Pirate 33. We have all of his old messages from
Lordless Warrior.
That's Robert Fortson. So we have that too. So when did you very first hear about there being a tree with an F or a potential F on it? When was the first you heard about that?
The Leo whistleblowers had hinted that there was a F rune carved on a tree. Then they retracted that. So I was confused of, was there an F on a tree carved? And also Rick Snay talked about knowing that very early on also. I don't know. Now, later on, when the pictures of the F rune were leaked on Reddit, right? Or Facebook group somewhere, right? Okay. Okay. When I looked at those, for me, I don't know if it's a deja vu moment. I can't explain it. I feel like I saw those before. Okay. But I guess I didn't, because whenever they were released, you see what I mean? I'm confused about those. I didn't know they were real. I don't know if that's a smear. It looks like a T to me, like a double cross. I don't know what that is. It's at night. So I know there's, I know there's a lot of talk about like they released, Fortson and Westerman leaked the rune picture first as like a test run. They put that out there to soften everybody up. And then boom, they went to their select choice of podcasters / journalists. And I was not one of them.
You weren't selected.
And I was offended.
It reminds me of somebody else that I know that was offended he didn't receive the photos as well.
It's a big deal, right? I mean, I put a lot of time and effort into the case, but for some reason, God didn't want me to have them. So I just have to accept it.
It's fair. I have seen some partial images of where people have zoomed in on certain things to try to prove points. But other than that, I do believe that there are different sets of photos, which is what I'm trying to find out. And your name has come up obviously a lot because of the interviews where it's suggested that you've seen more than the average person. And obviously these were, those interviews are back in November, December of 2022. And so what I'm understanding you're saying is that you never had you never saw the bodies, you never saw pictures of the bodies. What you were referring to was always the clothing. Okay.
The sourcing of the clothing pictures, and then I was given descriptions by Leo whistleblowers of how the girls were laid, staged. At first they said propped up against a tree, then they retracted. On a lot of cases I work, you're going to get a little bit of misinformation. They're not always going to be right. Erskine wrote in a text, even though I think he said he didn't even write the text, that Abby was stabbed in the heart. That's not true. Right. Why would he say that? Why did Josh Lank say the girls were killed in a shack, in a cabin? Right. See, things are going to fly. They're going to fly, and it's not their fault. Okay? I'm saying, like, and I think you made a good point. And look, I think you're an important figure on this all right now, because you're kind of bringing everybody together. I know who's in these chats. I heard you say who's here. These people are important. They're all coming to you. You're kind of like right in the middle. So I hope you can make something happen that does bring justice.
I'll be honest, it's not going to be about me. It's going to be about everybody that's here. It's going to be about what people are willing to actually put out there and show facts behind. That's but you're doing a good job of putting it with the presentation, the PowerPoint thing. You have a good mind of like the timeline, and you're not abrasive. People are talking to you. You have multiple people commenting. So look, there's a lot of us, right? I mean, I don't run my own channel. I know someone said Chris Todd investigates. That's just for my OJ stuff. That has nothing to do with Delphi. So I don't have I'm not a podcaster. I go on other people's shows. I work a lot with Cinemills TV. That's my exclusive podcast team. What is it?
Cinemills TV on YouTube. They're called Cinemills.
Spell it.
Like cinema, Cinemills, CINEMILLS, all one word, Cinemills space TV at YouTube. They have a channel. They do a lot of controversial stories and characters.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, anyway.
Hold on. So Sluice Investigates wants me to ask about the spliced audio that you mentioned on Court TV. You talked about, I do remember you were talking about that you believe that it is two different voices. and that you were actually told that Guys comes after Down the Hill. Is that still inaccurate, or has that been retracted?
On many cases that I work, I get information that I don't always know if it's actually 100% true. If I was to double down, as one of my mentors tells me to do a lot of times, there's something wrong with this tape. There's something up. They don't release the word Guys at all. We only hear Down the Hill, correct?
Right.
We don't hear Guys. When
Right.
someone pointed out to me and goes, Guys is a different person, I listen closer, and it sounds like it's different. I believe Ron Logan says Down the Hill. Okay? That's what
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
The person I believe says Guys is Richard Allen. I believe it possibly is spliced together, and that Libby took another video, not just a Snapchat video, that's longer, that nobody knows about, and it's in discovery, or it wasn't handed over yet. You guys talked about November 1st. Was it actually ever handed over? We don't know, because this case is insane. So can I prove that? No. Do I have a copy of this tape? No. Have I heard it? No. Did
Okay.
someone tell me they heard it? Yes. So
Did they?
I'm
How much did
yeah.
they tell you they heard? How long was it?
2 minutes long
2 minutes.
total.
Okay, 'cause that was the
40.
original. That was the original commentary. Was that the audio and video was 2 minutes long? So I have wondered if there is a second video / audio. Now,
Like 43 minus 2 minutes, we're talking 120, 117. So a minute 17 seconds. Now I will say this, just because we're on here talking and stuff like that. Supposedly the girls are on there talking.
That's what I was just going to say. So in an interview that Anna did, she actually says that it's Guys, and then in the middle that it is spliced, because in the middle the girls are speaking to each other, and then it says Down the Hill. So she
I'm
does
talking
admit,
later, close to the time of the murders, not in
Well,
the
so-
beginning. No, I know they're talking. They say gun, right? I never even heard this. People always
No,
tell me did
Well,
they
that's
say
what-
gun? I never heard it.
the affidavit says they say gun. I have not heard that myself.
I've never heard that either. I don't even know where that's from. And again, more deception, more hiding information, people not saying what's really on the tape. I did speak to one of the family members. They said they heard the tape, the whole 43 seconds. I don't remember them saying Guys. I don't know if Guys is on the first 43 seconds or it's after. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm going to say this on camera, on tape, because I know law enforcement's already knocking on people's doors and calling people. I don't have this tape. I don't have your discovery file. I have nothing. I have stuff from civilians and whistleblowers. That's it. I've never taken anything from the police. I don't have cop camera footage on Flora. I don't have any of that stuff. Okay. So what I talk about is my First Amendment right to discuss the case. What people tell me. I am saying that. I'm not saying it's 100% true. And look, the major mystery for me is Libby's footage. Okay. If she made more footage, this brave girl, I don't know. I said it on court TV. Something just told me to say it, and I just said it. So obviously I vet things. Like I wouldn't, if I didn't believe the source or these people, I wouldn't have said it on national television, right? Like I believed it enough. Okay. So we'll see. The jury will know for fact, because that whole tape will have to be played in court.
Okay, so here I have a question for you, and I know this could probably take you down a very long rabbit hole, but the quickest summary that you can give me, or the quickest piece of information, what is the one piece that made you think that Ron Logan was the guy? The one
in the very beginning, or today?
In the very beginning, and then we can go to today. We can do both.
In the very beginning, his limp in his right leg, his body type, his voice. He's not wearing glasses on the bridge. The glasses are off. And I believe he's the right body height, body type. That's his limp. That's how he walks. That's how he talks. That's his voice. And when he did his interview with Stephen Fabian or whoever he did it with, Couple weeks later, he wore a bright red shirt with no hat.
Yeah.
Because he's purposely trying to deceive you. And in the beginning, he wore the same ball cap and the same jacket because he didn't know there was tape, right? In that first interview, he did not know he was recorded. That guy is a snake. He passed on, and the media, if you notice, just real quick, the media lied about when he died. He did not die in 2020. He died in the beginning of 2022.
Yeah, he died in January of 2022. Why? I don't know
Why
why
is
it never came out.
Why is the media saying that? Why is the media saying that?
I don't know.
Where's his death obituary? Where's his death certificate? Where is
Don't
it?
have that, but you can look up. You can look up his estate.
I've never seen it. There's no obituary.
There's no obituary, but you can look up the legal documents regarding his estate, which is how I can prove when he died.
Oh, copy that. I don't look that stuff up. I'd love to talk to his son. I've tried to reach out to his son. I've asked to talk to him many times. And yeah. Well, I mean, I'm in a $40 million lawsuit in the 11th Circuit Court in Miami-Dade. Bring it.
What are you in for that one?
Revealing O.J. Simpson's murder accomplice. He says I'm lying. So he sued me and a reporter for $40 million. We'll see how that works out.
I did make a point of letting people know that it seems to be a strategy of yours. You're like, hey, go ahead and sue me. You can take my baseball cap essentially, but I'm going to request everything in discovery, and then you're going to have to prove to me that it wasn't you.
And you're going to be deposed for 5 hours with my attorneys who will eat you alive. So you can try to sue me, like Logan's estate could say, hey, we're going to sue this guy. You're going to be subpoenaed up the Yahoo, all of you. Every person near him, his son, all his records, every piece of evidence, the discovery file has to come to me, all of it. And that's the same thing that I did on OJ's guy too, is now his situation is a little different because this guy doesn't give a shit and he's a mafia guy. So yeah, he's not going to testify for himself. He's going to drop the case. I already know that. I have inside information. So yes, I talk about this in John Bonet. I baited John Andrew Ramsey and John Ramsey into a lawsuit saying that Patsy Ramsey killed John Bonet. Sue me. And then once you do, you're both being subpoenaed. And then we go from there. So it is a strategy. I think that's why I like some of the stuff you were doing. You kind of hit the nail on the head. You kind of understood. I don't think Chris cares if you sue him. So, but the quick last answer, the gait, the walk, the clothing, the jacket, the hat, the voice, the look, that mustache looks black, right? In the picture, it's not, it's gray. And it's because of the lighting. It looks like it's darker. It's not, okay? That's what I believe. Now, the last part, when the FBI search warrant came out in May of 2022, it slapped me in the face like a cold pail of water. There he is. And I knew,
So
I knew it.
Your mind?
Because then I saw an FBI Quantico trained agent say, Logan, 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 Logan. And then I asked Jason Jensen to look at it. And he comes back to me like 2 days later, goes, there's the same crease in that ball cap right there. I go, whoa, what are you talking about? He goes, well, the baseball hat, there's a crease in the picture of the same crease.
Down. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's the same hat. I thought the hat, like in the beginning, I thought the guy was wearing like earmuffs. Like I thought it was like a
hat
pull down hat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't, Jason pointed that out to me. So I knew the color and the stuff was right in the beginning, but then I realized, I'm like, oh, he's wearing a baseball cap. And Jason's like, that's a baseball cap. And that's Ron Logan. And that's his voice. We did a whole voice analysis. We had other guys look at it. They go, I think it's him. He goes, you're outside. The atmospheric is different. I can't guarantee that's Ron Logan, but why does the FBI agent say it's not inconsistent with his voice? Why is the judge tell her, it's a female, you are sworn, you are obligated to investigate this man. Okay? And where's the FBI today? Kicked out of town.
Yep.
Bye. They got the boot. We know that. I know from the Leos.
Yeah.
They
At
they
this point, they were definitely asked to step aside. They still run the website for the tipsters, but
well,
and
and I'll say this, they didn't misfile any tip. Okay. Someone turned in Richard Allen
Can I? Do you want to say it here? You want to say it now, or do you want to wait?
Oh wait, do another one.
So I have 2 more questions then. The big one is, when all the Odinism stuff came out, in all of your research with the case, had you run across any type of Odinist, any of the Odinism stuff? When you were hearing about the crime scene and the sticks and things like that, Robert Fortson was the first person you ever heard anything about there being a ritualistic aspect?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's been floating around for a very long time, about this ritualistic, that something was carved into the tree, something was carved into one of the girls, and it was, you know, a ritual.
Rick Snay knew a lot about that rune stuff. He had tried to school me on some of that. That's where I got a lot of that from, the rune and what it meant and all that stuff. So that was a rumor, and I get it. That's out there. To me, I believe the Odin stuff is a farce. I don't believe any of those 5 guys had anything to do with it, and I think it's bad lawyering, is what I think, by Baldwin and Rosie. And they got what they deserved. They made a mess of this. They tried to throw this out into the public and say, "Oh, these." You don't think those 5 guys are going to sue you guys? You don't think? I'll say their names. They're already in public. Johnny Messer, Brad Holder. You don't think they're going to sue you, Elvis Fields?
The problem is going to be that they were actually investigated. This is where that's going to change things. They were actually investigated, and there is documentation.
By who?
Click, Ferenczi, and Murphy.
And what's their jurisdiction?
Well, so Ferenczi was part of the FBI task force.
Okay, we'll give him that one.
And
Rush County, 100 miles away. Rushville.
Click.
Yeah.
And then Murphy ended up going to IA, I think, because he was so tired of Delphi. But they were actually investigating it from the other angle, which is why I've always thought it was really important. They were investigating it from the anti-terrorist angle, and they came in and found these people and then tied these people to the murders.
They said Glenn Rogers murdered Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman too. He was a serial killer, and they drove that. They still drive it today. They said Dodi Fayed was involved. They said Jason Simpson did it. They said Al Collins did it. Look, the job of the attorneys and Todd Click and those guys, hey, it's all good. They want to write a book. They want to make a movie. Go for it. They're agents and they're police officers. They went to the academy. I did not. Good for you. That's your right to do it. I don't believe it has any validity. And in any case, I've always said to everybody, if you want to debate me, then we'll do it. If you want to talk to me about a case, I will debate Todd Click and any of those guys on camera anytime they want, if they feel it's an Odin type ritualistic.
That's exactly what you said. If you want to engage me, applaud me, battle me, whatever it may be, here's my email. And that's how I emailed you.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. And that's, so look, I'm not saying maybe there weren't the sticks in a certain way. From what I've been told, the sticks are very random. I know Vinnie Politan and Court TV, they're obsessed with the case, which is good. And they really, I mean, come on, you know, that one woman I thought was important, this woman who knew a lot about Odinism, I guess. And she goes, it's a gang in a prison.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me, I'm like, wow, at least she's just saying it. These are Nazi white supremacist type ideologies. Okay. Yes. We're white people, you and I think. Both. So I'm just saying it can hit home for me. I can talk about it, right? So it's like, why are you bringing that up? You have Ron Logan. You want to create doubt, but here's the problem. If Ron Logan and Richard Allen are involved together, that's the box, the treasure chest they don't want to open up. So they start just sending the tentacles out all across Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields. You see what I'm saying? Like Brad Holder, Logan Holder dated Abby. Here's a picture. Look. Oh, they had a ritualistic ceremony. Look. After the murders, he said, oh, can they get DNA from somebody spitting on the bodies?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people take credit for murders. And usually when people blab and try to brag about committing a murder, it usually means they didn't do it. Because why the hell would you say that?
Don't you
if
think
you actually did it?
actually that Elvis Fields was actually admitting that he was part of it on February 14th, if that's accurate from the defense team, which I believe it would be. They have his statements that he told his sister on February 14th that he took part in it. You're fine. It can stay crooked. I'm good.
No, I know. It's just like funny I have to do this, but no, I don't believe he was there. I do not believe he's involved. And if he told his sister as some sick joke, or he wanted to take some type of credit for this, well, then maybe that gets rid of his defamation lawsuit right there by him joking about it. And for these guys, I wouldn't be joking about it at all if I were them. Okay? I wouldn't be making any comments. And look, I'm going to say this the gentlest way I can. And people know I say this before. A lot of these people, I deal with another case in Iowa, and I have another case in Indiana. These are simple folk. I'm gonna say it like that. And I think there's a lot of drug use out there. I think there's a lot of stagnation. I think there's a lot of things that these people get involved in these smaller communities where there's not a lot to do, and they're mostly white communities. And I think that it kind of creates this atmosphere where these people cannot necessarily always see reality and the truth.
Okay, so you think that that Elvis Fields would fall into something along that category? They do say that he has a mental capacity of like a 6 or 7 year old approximately, but my issue becomes that he says something to his sister the day the girls are found. We don't know if it's even before the girls are found, so that's tough.
I understand. No, and like I said, I'm going to let you have that. And when they talk about Brad Holder and they show pictures of him, it says heathen, and he's sticking his tongue out, and he's look, I have some history with some of this white supremacist stuff with other people in cases I've worked. Okay, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying we shouldn't be taking what they say as the standard of truth. Okay, and I don't know what their motive is to joke about it or do a ceremony and say they put antlers on Abby and this and that. I think it's sick. So that's something they have to deal with. But yeah, I just, when the Odin thing came out, and I'm not going to say who I talked to about it a little bit. I just was blown away by it. I really was. I was like, this is what they're going to do. Like they're going to throw 5 other guys under the bus. All Nick McClellan has to do is put those guys on the stand. Where were you on February 13th, 2017? Where? Tell me right now where you were. Where were you? He's going to prove.
He did tell him where he was. He said he was at a hospital, and then it was proven that was a lie. And then Elvis Fields supposedly is sitting at his house for 9 hours, not being touched whatsoever, and Rod Abrams is supposedly driving him to. I'm not saying that this is what I believe. This is the information that we're getting.
Right, out of the Frank's motion and also the documents that Kevin Greenlee got released, all the stuff unredacted. Right? Is that what you're talking about? I've read all the documents of everything that's ever come out. So
yeah, the memorandum
look, I'm not saying he wasn't home and he has no alibi. Maybe we're talking about 5 guys. We have to lock alibis for 5 different men. So yeah, a couple of them, it may look a little sketchy, but I guarantee you 3 to 5 of them, you're going to be able to prove they were not in Delphi and they were not on the Monon High Bridge. It's a mess. It's a big mess. That trial is going to be really crazy. This trial could go on for a really long time too, to be honest. I think it could. They're going to have to nitpick the bullet. They're going to nitpick the tipsters, how they got on the Allen. How did the police really even look at him? There's not a lot of evidence against him that I'm hearing for murder. Is he there? Sounds like it. Is his car going by Hoosier Harvest Store? Sure. I don't believe all these witnesses. Okay, you have the girl witnesses, right? One says he's in all black. The other says he's in blue. Which is it? They're together.
2 different people?
At the same time?
I don't know.
On the trail?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They don't see the same thing. And then you also have Betsy Blair, who supposedly sees him on the bridge and they're going to use her as one of their main witnesses. But then she's the one who says she saw the Comet in the CPS parking lot, that she didn't see anything that looked like a Ford Focus. So how do you trust what she saw on the bridge, but not trust what she saw in the parking lot, or vice versa?
And she said it was a younger man, didn't she? So it's like Richard Allen would have been 40 years old and Ron Logan is in his 70s. So who is it? To me, I'll just say this for the people here, because I know there's a lot of diehard fans. I don't believe Richard Allen's ever on the bridge. I don't. I think when he says, "Oh, I'm looking at my stock ticker," that's BS. He's not watching the fish. He's not on the bridge. I believe he weaves down to Logan's property. I believe it's planned out. I believe the first 4 or 3 girls, no one can get this right either. Are there 4 witnesses walking together, or are there 3? Okay, we hear this I think there's 4, but we keep hearing there's 3, and
because the one was the fourth one is the little sister to one of the girls. But there's also a group of 3 earlier in the day that were supposedly there waiting for Libby and Abby, and that timing didn't work out for them to come. So that group of 3 girls left the bridge area and went to City Park, which is just in town right there. So 2
I believe
1 is 4.
I believe that real targets were the first batch of girls that were walking the trail. And I don't know I think Logan and Alan, if Alan's on a burner phone, they don't even take Logan's phone. You guys write me about stuff and say well, they would have had Logan. They didn't even investigate Ron Logan.
Mm-mm.
They didn't do anything. They didn't question him. They did nothing.
Not right away.
I know. A month later, they searched his house. 3 weeks later, they searched for weapons. They didn't interrogate him. They didn't even. They pulled his phone records maybe days later by ISP and FBI. Carroll County didn't even have them, so they weren't even looking at him. So, and a burner phone is basically untraceable. So, who did he call at 2:09 p.m.? A burner phone? Well, how do we know it's Richard Allen? Where's that phone? So, I think they set out that day to murder somebody. And I think they knew that there were going to be girls there. There was no school, and I think Logan either sees them or he's already coming. Why does Richard Allen show up at 1:30ish if that's supposedly true? Did Logan call him and say it's on? I see girls out here. At 12:45, he starts seeing Rayleigh, Anna. I could say their names because they're public, but does he see them? Does he? Yeah. Does he see them first? It's on. Come on down. Here comes Richard Allen, dressed in all black. Parks at the CPS building. Walks down, passes the girls. He knows they saw him. So now he's got to say something. And he's not the brightest guy. So now he tells the DNR officer, "Oh yeah, I was there, but I didn't see anything." Because he was spotted. He's spotted by 3 or 4 girls.
Right.
He thinks he's pulling a fast one, and unfortunately for ISP and Carroll County, whether they misfile it, they don't take him seriously, whatever you want to say, they don't even look at him. They don't even investigate him. It'd be like there's a bank robbery, and a guy goes, "I was at the bank robbery. I was there. I didn't see anything," and you never go investigate him.
So, but you think that Ron Logan is the guy on the bridge, but the law enforcement and Nick McClelland are charging Richard Allen with being the guy on the bridge. That is the charges, that it led to murder after he kidnapped them.
Sorry, I just got to set this on my charger.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's exact opposite of your scenario. They're charging him completely differently. They're charging Richard Allen as being bridge guy.
I don't know that for a fact. And I don't know what they're really charging with, to be honest, because I think they're going to possibly do a 180. They brought in this other guy. They're going to have to hire other investigators, and they're going to find out pretty quick that Richard Allen is not the bridge guy. The heights are way off. They're going to go measure this with whatever math they want to use. This bridge guy's 6'1", 6 foot, 6'2", whatever they keeps changing the heights of bridge guy too. Oh, now he's 5'5"? Now he's 5'5"? That's a huge difference. So look, Nick McClelland's got his work cut out for him. I'll say that absolutely. Okay. So I don't know if they're going to actually charge Richard out and say he's the bridge guy. They've got a lot of time still to work on this.
But they didn't. That's my problem, is they didn't have a lot of time. They were supposed to turn over discovery by November. We were supposed to be having a trial here come January 8th. And he finally brings on a special prosecutor in the end of October. So he wasn't going to change anything because he was supposed to be going to trial in January. And the charge stands that it's felony murder, kidnapping, leading to murder, leading to the girls being killed.
Yeah, I just can't say what their exact strategy is going to be. When it happens, I dealt with the Dream Team people, okay, the defense team on OJ. These people can pull out some really wizard stuff. You don't know what they're going to do yet. I heard they're going to bring up Ron Logan at trial. I heard they're going to start hitting the Ron Logan. The FBI agents coming in. Why do you think it's Logan? Here comes the doubt. Who's really bridge guy? They're going to pull in the 15 witnesses that said it was Ron Logan. They're going to start pulling in the people, the other girl too, that talked about Ron Logan threatening to murder her. This is all going to start coming out. So I just don't know if McClellan really is going to say, okay, Richard Allen's bridge guy. Because that could backfire. That really could. I don't see any similarities between them. I really don't. I don't know where people are coming up with this, that he's him. I really don't. There's no chin hair.
I can see both, though. So this is my issue. I saw it with a bunch of other persons of interest throughout the years. It's so pixelated, so zoomed in and so pixelated, and then every frame I could literally match to a different person of interest. There's so many.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's a couple with the wide nose, and like that first sketch that was released kind of looked like that other criminal guy, right? I forgot his name. Nations. Was that Nations?
Daniel Nations looked like him. It looked Jimmy
the other
Duvall,
guy.
another one that you could totally throw in there. There's so many of them. I think that height for me is the most important in having somebody who actually, is trained and able to go on the stand and sit there as an expert and talk about the height is the biggest thing for me. Because there's people who are like, no, I've gone out and done the height. The person's 6 foot. No, I've gone and done the height. The person's 5'6". I don't have any credentials to do it or to know what they're doing is accurate. I mean, I can go with who I like better.
I have to say, if I go back to the beginning, when I first met some of the family members and I first got on the case, and I first did my type of research, how I do my own research, I kept looking at Ron Logan's limp in his right leg. That's my marker. And then when the bridge guy video came out, that didn't come out right away. There was a picture. The video came out later, right? Okay, when they showed him moving, and I saw it, and I'm like, there it is.
That's problematic, though, Chris, because it's on a little loop. It's literally like a second, and it's like,
I know.
And so it's like, does he even have a limp, or is it just the way that they're like putting that edit in there? And then guess who also had an ankle injury, 2 weeks before the murders? Brad Holder.
Oh, Brad Holder. Okay.
Fucks up his right ankle.
Yeah, I just,
all over the internet.
I saw, Lois Gibson, right? Lois Gibson's the one who did the cross of Ron Logan for Robert Ives. I can say that now because it's already out there. Her name is Lois Gibson. You could bring her on. You could try. She's retired. She has the world record for most convictions. She's a famous forensic photographer and sketch artist. She said it's Logan. Okay. They asked her to look at it in 2017 by Robert Ives with some Leos. And that document was never released. Why was that hidden? Why was the Ron Logan search warrant hidden for 5 years? Why? What are you hiding? What are you hiding? See what I'm saying? Why do these?
We don't have access to. They did the one on Bicycle Road at the Maxwell's house. We don't have access to that search warrant. Then we know a couple days later they were at Keegan's house in Peru. We didn't get access to that search warrant. I mean, and we know that they did. We saw them, via news searching the Weber property multiple times. We saw them at the Packers plant, so we know they were serving multiple search warrants. Why don't we have any of that? Well, because we don't have a trial. Will any of that ever come out if the trial's done? No idea. Now there's speculation, and this is another question I have for you, is that some of these search warrants that are supposedly not out there that you have access to.
I don't have search warrants. No, I don't. I don't have any of the discovery, and I'm ashamed to say that. I am. I don't. I have nothing of the police's materials.
So it's very confusing because
you know what's funny too. The last quick thing about Ron Logan. So the funny thing to me is when I look at the cross of Ron Logan to BG, when Lois Gibson does that, I look at Ron Logan keeps walking around in these big high waiter boots. They're like real long, and he's walking his dog, and he's got these big giant boots on, and his pants are tucked all the way in. But when you look at the bridge guy, he's wearing like these kind of brown boots and his pants are over the boot or whatever he's wearing. I feel like he's purposefully trying to show the difference of the footwear. And I think he did this with the red shirt, the no hat, the bright red shirt, and he comes waddling up like that. I can't believe this happened right here in my backyard. Who would have thought my kids used to play here? I mean, I just can't wrap my head around it. And I believed him too, guys. I did. I believed him too in the beginning. And I don't anymore.
Okay, so I have to ask one big question before I have to wrap up to go pick up kids.
Yeah, wrap it up. I know. I'm sorry with the hat. I should have, put the hair out for you guys.
No.
Like I just so
it's okay. I'm
so
just here
sorry.
in a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, so you're good. No dress code. Well, clothes are required. Just FYI.
Yeah.
For future reference. The bullet. What information did you receive since you were talking to these LEOs for a long time before there was even an arrest? What did they tell you about there being an unspent bullet at the scene?
There was mention that there was a bullet at the scene, and they talked about a belt or something. I don't know if the belt had anything to do with anything. I think it was like a hobo's belt. They did mention a bullet, but never really elaborated on that because I didn't think anything of it. It was like, it's a whole bullet unspent, right? Mm-hmm. And I already knew the girls were killed by a sharp instrument. I already knew they weren't shot. So I think it just kind of went in one ear and out the other when that came up.
Do you remember when you first learned about that there was a bullet there, an unspent round?
It would have been in the first phone conversation with the Leos. That was a very long conversation.
The 3-hour one?
With Jason Jensen and the Leos. And, I will tell you that the Leos, they want to help. And it didn't have anything to do with an election. It was about, they just hit their boiling point. Basically, they said like they watched the Kegan Kline stuff for a year. One of them said he went to counseling, like he couldn't handle that, he couldn't solve it. He felt it was Ron Logan right away. He mentioned Ron Logan's name. He was told to shut up. He was told to not talk about it. He was eventually removed.
Who told him to not talk? Did he say who told him to shut up and not talk about it?
Yes, he did.
Can you say?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'll just say it's a high-ranking law enforcement officer.
Okay. So you first heard about this unspent round back probably it would be like last summer-ish then.
Yeah, it's like before. It was so weird because it'd be before Richard Allen was arrested because, okay, my book comes out the week Richard Allen's arrested. Literally. I leaked part. I know that just like took my book's wind right out of the sails. It was like, because now everybody's like, oh, Ron Logan, what about gone? That's gone. Like it's like Richard Allen. So that was strange to me. And then also the election was coming up, right? And there was all this drama. There's a lawsuit with some people against Carroll County, and these people were writing me, and I was talking to them, and all these things were happening all at the same time. So it was like the election, this lawsuit, the drama, the whistleblowers start to whistleblow about Logan, and then boom, Richard Allen's arrested. Now looking at the tip to get Richard Allen arrested, the tip to get him came in August of 2022. That's why it takes them about 6 to 8 weeks to get him. Okay, so they are tipped off by person slash persons in August of 2022, you need to look at Richard Allen. Why? We'll talk about that when we're ready to drop that.
Okay.
But it was all coincidental. I knew nothing of it. I was just writing the book as fast as I could. And I like the way you said it. And one of your audience members said, this is an angry email that
It was literally just sat down and just wrote the whole thing. It was like he never stopped. It just like I said it was like the longest Facebook post.
Right.
You wouldn't stop reading. Like if I saw it on Facebook, I would have read the whole damn thing. And I did.
That's exactly, yeah. I wrote my OJ book the same way. I sat down and I said, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna tell you my story. And a lot of my books, like I say, oh, I'm not like you, right? I don't think like you. I don't eat like you. I don't live like you. I live in darkness and light. What I'm saying is like, I live in good and bad. Okay. I do things where I feel I'm being noble, and other times I'm being dirty at the same time. So that's what I mean by darkness and light. Okay. And so my OJ book was the same way. Rob's Revenge. It was the same way. This is my story. You need to see it through my eyes, right? Why would the media not let me reveal OJ's accomplice? Why would the media not let me reveal Natalie Wood's murderer? Why couldn't I do Delphi? And you hit it on the head, and that's why I think I related to you so much is I think you understand me a little bit. No one will listen to me.
Yeah, they don't. And I can see why.
Not listen
like
to
I
me.
did say, the first couple of times I saw you, I was kind of like, what is going on with this guy? Like,
I understand. I have a lot of like, I won't say trauma. My Hollywood experience was traumatic for me for 20 years in Hollywood. It was very, I can't explain it, maybe another time.
I got that from the book. I think that's why I ended up like having a softer spot for you, because I felt like I understood you better after reading it. It wasn't, and I've told people this, it's not a novel. It's not like there's like a story like with an arc and everything else. It's your story. It's just written straight out, but it does let people understand, I think, you a little bit better. And I looked back on the interviews that I had originally seen you on. I was like, I kind of understand, because you're just like, do you guys want to know? Like, do you want me to say it here? Like, do you want to know anything? And everybody's just like, no. Everybody's like, no, don't talk. Be quiet. Just sit there, look pretty, and that's it. It's interesting.
And in short, what Hollywood taught me was my journey in Hollywood, trying to be a director, producer, writer, actor, all the things I did. I did a lot of different stuff. What Hollywood taught me was to shock people. As my projects kept building up, I couldn't sell Aaron Hernandez. I didn't sell Emmett Till. They kept building and building and building like this. And they kept stacking up till I had like 100 of these things. And for me to get pitch meetings and for me to get promotional guerrilla marketing, I had to shock people. I had to grab things that nobody wanted to hear. And so that kept building and building. And that's what parlayed into investigations for me was, my first case was Natalie Wood. And the Natalie Wood thing kind of taught me like to be shocking, to tell the truth, say things no one's ever heard. So that's where I get that kind of, and I know you're, I rub people the wrong way. You're not the first person to say that. Don't worry. So
I didn't think I was.
Yes, there's millions of people probably that think I rubbed them the wrong way. I'm doing things no one else is doing. I'm a disruptor. Okay.
You are.
I solve murders. I don't care if the family wants me to solve it. I don't care if the police want me to solve it. That's what I do. That's my whole shtick. That's my thing. So yeah, Court TV wouldn't let me show pictures, wouldn't let me say certain things. News Nation, same thing. I'm doing something with the dirty Rampart cops right now. They don't want me to talk about them. So look, someday my day will come. I don't know. Okay. I don't make money off of what I do. I run a business. I make $0 doing what I do. I want your fans and audience to know that. Okay. I dedicated the book to Abby and Libby. I did what I did for the girls. I don't care if you hate me. Okay. Because I knew someone had to do something to shake all of you up.
I think that's fair. Even if you do rub people the wrong way, I think that's where I understand you. I don't necessarily do the light in the darkness, but I do know that there is a world that has to be done for people to uncover really shady, bad shit. So I get that. And I think, like I said, after reading your book, I understood you a little bit better. And when I could go back and watch like your interviews and stuff, you didn't really rub me the wrong way anymore. Now, do I agree with everything you say? Of course I do not. I'll just be very honest. And I think that's okay.
Of course.
Because I'm okay with everybody here not having the same opinion, because we don't have all the same information, which is part of what I'm trying to do, is to put as much of the factual information together as possible and give it to the world and do what you want with it.
And I think you're one of the best at it, to be honest. And I'm not going to rag on any other podcasters. I think they all have their own unique way. I watch their stuff. Look, I've had problems with Rick Snay. I watch his stuff. I have problems with Gray Hughes and A Crime and Shame. I watch their stuff. I had a lawsuit with Disney. I watch ESPN. Like it's you know what I mean? It's not about like, yeah, I may not like you, but I'll still tune in. I still want to hear what you have to say because you might tell me something I want to know. And I think you're great at what you do. And look, like I said, I'm kind of new to your world. I've heard of you before, and I'm excited to see what else you do. I think you have a strange ability to like be so neutral. It's great. It's awesome. Like I'm used to arguing with people and battling them, you know?
Well, here's the thing. This case I'm so undecided on. I think it brings me into a place of Switzerland, because I'll tell you, there's other cases that I have my firm opinion, and it's a much different Teresa. It's just because like we look at like the Idaho 4 case, I'm pretty sold that that's the guy, and I just don't. So I don't cover it because I'm not covering any of like the major events that happen, but I don't dig into it because I don't feel like there's nothing there to be dug into. I think they got it and they're doing their thing. That's where I'm at.
Right.
People disagree with me, and that's fine. But for this case in particular, because I could literally sit here and convince myself right now that Richard Allen is the guy, he did it by himself, and we're done. I can convince myself that Richard Allen is the guy, he did it with somebody else, and we're done. Or he doesn't have anything to do with shit, and we're not done. I can do any one of those based on information that we have now, and I need to keep going around and figuring out more facts that bring us to where we are, and that's where I'm at.
And I think in closing, I think we've all been waiting for this trial, and now that it gets pushed to like October of 2024, possibly, it's like we're just waiting and waiting. This is like so long. This is 7 years almost, right? The 7-year anniversary is coming up. Like this is just a long, and look, the reason I thought there was a cover up too is the police didn't want the case to end. They like the CNN, they like the media, they like the interviews. They got Barbara McDonald, they got Paula Zahn, they got Susan Hendricks, they got Nancy Grace, Ashley Banfield. They don't want it to end. And that's okay. But eventually it's going to end.
See, I understand what you're saying about not wanting it to end, but mine was because they didn't want it to come to any type of closure, because the shit that they did wrong was going to come and bite them in the ass. That's where I've been at, and why it's taken so long, because they didn't want to solve it because their mistakes cost them an actual trial where they think they can win. That's where I'm at.
Well, and yeah, I understand that. Hubris, sometimes ego. And I think I say in one of my other books, I think at the end of my OJ book, I say, it doesn't matter how long it takes to do it. If it's the right thing to do, then we do it. So even if the police missed on Logan, or they missed on Allen or Brad Holder or any of the guys, like, it's okay. You're human. You missed. Make it right. Do it for the girls. Put these people right. Logan's gone. Okay. God took Logan. If Richard Allen is guilty, he's going away. He's gone. And so at least for these families in this community, they will have some type of closure. Like, okay, at least the people that did this, they're gone. Like they're pretty much they've been caught.
I agree. Well, I'm gonna let you go, but I can't. I really
thank you so much.
Thank you for coming up. I thank you for chatting and answering the questions that you can. I look forward to a time where your no comments become actual answers so that we can put more pieces together. And I do hope you come back. And I know that you don't, like I said, you don't have the biggest fan club, but hopefully people will take the facts that you can give us from the information that you have gathered, and that becomes more important. That's where I'm at.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on, and I look forward to maybe doing some new stuff with you in the future.
Sounds good. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, everybody, I am going to wrap this up. I have got to go pick up some chitlins from school today. I have an appointment this afternoon. I think that ended up being much better than going through all the old interviews anyway. We got the more current, up-to-date information. And, I mean, what more can we ask for at this point? So hopefully some of those no comments can turn into answers, and we'll be able to put some more facts together and add it to the timeline and go from there. But I know it was tough. There was a lot of varying, differing personalities that were in here, and it gets really frustrating. I get that. I hope that nobody got blocked. That I'll double check. But like I said, if you guys, I can't have anybody calling anybody names. So I do appreciate, like I tell you guys every time, it is extremely humbling to have every one of you guys show up here and hang out with me and go through this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. And I know it's like sounds redundant, but it's so true. I mean, this would just be, you know, I just, what does Bob say? I'd just be an old lady sitting here talking about an old case. And everybody make sure you wish Bob a happy birthday. Defense Diaries, his birthday was yesterday. So on that note, I'll talk to you guys later. Go enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We will be back tomorrow.